Chapter 23:43. They had never thought that Ling Xiao would attack them so crazily during the tribulation. Moreover, he had killed the ninth heaven Wang Huaqiu with a single strike. After all, Huaqiu was only a saint in the Great Perfection realm. After suffering Ling Xiao's strike, coupled with the terrifying lightning of the tribulation, he could not resist at all. Even the Great Sky King and the others could not save Huaqiu in time. Ling Xiao, I will kill you. The Great Sky King roared furiously. He glared at Ling Xiao before turning around and flying out of the tribulation. Even though he was boiling with killing intent and wanted nothing more than to tear Ling Xiao into pieces, he knew that in the face of such a terrifying divine tribulation, they would probably lose their lives before they could kill Ling Xiao. Rumble. Due to the appearance of the 9 heavenly kings, the tribulation also boiled up instantly. Bolts of lightning intertwined with each other, containing an incomparably terrifying energy fluctuation, completely drowning Ling Xiao. Every bolt of lightning seemed to contain an energy fluctuation that could destroy the heavens and earth, capable of shattering everything. It was extremely terrifying. Ling Xiao was also in great danger. When the lightning struck his body, it caused his skin to split open and his flesh to become a bloody mess. It was extremely difficult for him to recover to his original state. Ling Xiao tried his best to activate the Sky Devouring secret skill and Sky Punishment secret skill. As he refined the Supreme Lightning with Sky Punishment secret skill, he swallowed the vast and violent lightning energy into his stomach to refine his body. You want to run? It's not that easy. Ling Xiao sneered when he saw the Great Sky King and the others from the corner of his eyes. He took a step forward, and lightning raged around him as he charged towards the remaining 8 heavenly kings. Boom! Ling Xiao's fist was unparalleled, containing domineering and terrifying energy. At the same time, it was strengthened by the lightning tribulation, making it seem even more ferocious. The 8 heavenly kings felt their scalps tingle and their hearts palpitate. The heaven's end domain that the 9 heavenly kings cultivated had already been shattered by Ling Xiao's terrifying tribulation. Furthermore, they were all fleeing for their lives, extremely fearful. Ling Xiao's fist collided with the Great Sky King's. Lightning exploded in the sky, and both of them were sent flying back. At the same time, powerful lightning filled the surroundings. Ling Xiao used this force to teleport and appeared behind the 8 heavenly kings. Then, he punched the 8 heavenly kings in the back. Crack! The 8 heavenly kings' divine body shield exploded, and Ling Xiao's fist pierced through the 8 heavenly kings' chest, creating a huge bloody hole. Pfft! Ling Xiao, you dare! The 8th heavenly king's body trembled as bolts of lightning struck him, turning him into a bloody mess. Although he was roaring loudly, his eyes were filled with unconcealable fear as he looked at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao had really made up his mind to kill them all. Why wouldn't I dare? You are the second one. Ling Xiao smiled coldly. He struck down with his palm and a sharp saber aura streaked across the sky, directly cutting the 8 heavenly kings in half. Even their souls could not escape in time and were completely killed by Ling Xiao. Rumble. Ling Xiao's body exuded a majestic aura. He directly used the Divine Body Devouring secret skill and swallowed the 8 heavenly kings' blood essence and souls into his body. Vast and majestic life force surged. Ling Xiao's aura became stronger as if he had eaten a great tonic. The injuries he had suffered from the lightning tribulation also began to heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. Ling Xiao, the Great Sky King saw the 9 heavenly kings and the 8 heavenly kings being killed by Ling Xiao one after another. He was so angry that his body trembled and his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. In the end, he spat out a mouthful of blood and his aura became extremely weak. Don't worry. One by one, it will be your turn soon. Ling Xiao's eyes were cold and sharp as he glanced at the Great Sky King. Then, he charged towards the others. Rumble. As Ling Xiao went through the heavenly tribulation, he executed his killing techniques. Under the cover of the heavenly tribulation, the 9 heavenly kings were actually defeated by Ling Xiao one by one. They were completely unable to escape from Ling Xiao's palms and were all killed by him. In the end, only the great Sky King was left of the 9 heavenly kings. Ling Xiao directly killed the 8 heavenly kings. They all died in an extremely aggrieved manner. Not even their bones were left behind. Even their flesh and souls had become nourishment for Ling Xiao. Crack! Ling Xiao's body suddenly emitted a bright light. Streaks of auspicious qi rose and talisman scripts intertwined. Vast divine aura spread out and various mysterious phenomena appeared in the surrounding heaven and earth. The lightning tribulation that filled the sky also disappeared without a trace at this moment. Only the great Tao celestial flowers floated down. Golden lotuses formed in the void, accompanied by mysterious and ancient Tao sounds, which made people feel as if they had fallen into a mysterious state of Tao comprehension. Ling Xiao's white robe fluttered in the wind. His temperament was ethereal and otherworldly. He was shrouded in celestial light and auspicious qi. Chaotic light exploded around him as if it was going to split the heaven and earth apart. Divine rings rippled out from between his eyebrows. A mysterious figure could be vaguely seen sitting cross-legged in the void, illuminating the heavens. Mysterious Tao rhymes filled his body. The great Tao laws intertwined, making him seem as if he had become a part of the great Tao. His words were law, and he could mobilize the supreme power of heaven and earth. His body was filled with an immortal luster. His qi and blood rose like a rainbow piercing through the 9 heavens. The acupoints all over his body were as bright as the stars in the sky. They intertwined and gathered, forming billions of divine kingdoms. A mysterious world appeared behind him. It seemed to be hidden between reality and illusion. It changed into all kinds of mysterious scenes at will. One could not help but be immersed in it at a glance. Primordial spirit, Tao laws, physical body, heart force. Ling Xiao had finally reached the 4 saint realms. Feeling the terrifying aura emitted from Ling Xiao, even the great saints felt their hearts palpitate. Their eyes were filled with incomparable fear. The great heavenly king was about to go crazy. Although he wanted nothing more than to tear Ling Xiao into pieces, his rationality told him that he was no match for Ling Xiao. Great heavenly king, your 8 brothers are already dead. Why don't you go accompany them? Ling Xiao said indifferently. His expression was incomparably calm. After proving the 4 saints, Ling Xiao seemed to have fallen into an incomparably mysterious state. His entire person had merged with heaven and earth, reflecting the heaven's heart. His every move had a mighty force that could suppress everything. Originally, the great heavenly king could still make him feel a little threatened. But now, there was none at all. Ling Xiao, do you really think that you can do whatever you want after proving the 4 saints? Chapter 23:44. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. Suddenly, he felt a sense of fatal danger approaching, causing his hair to stand on end. Without hesitation, a vast amount of divine power gushed out from his body as he threw a punch above his head. Crack! Above Ling Xiao's head, the sky shattered as a huge palm print pressed down from the sky. It was like the hand of the heavens, containing unfathomable divine power and unparalleled power as it collided with Ling Xiao's punch. Ling Xiao's fist print shattered with a loud bang. His entire body shook violently as he coughed out a mouthful of blood. He was sent flying by the unparalleled divine power. How could a puny saint block my full-powered palm strike? The 4 sages are indeed extraordinary. A slightly surprised voice rang out in the void, containing a kind of calm and steady fluctuation, as if everything was under his control. Above the shattered sky, a white-haired old man wearing a loose Taoist robe was holding a purple bamboo cane in his hand. There was a purple gold gourd hanging on the cane. He looked like a celestial being with an otherworldly aura as he slowly floated down. His gaze was deep and indifferent as if he regarded the world as ants. He had the bearing of a king. After he appeared, the great Tao of heaven and earth in the surroundings resonated with him. Is that ancestor purple bamboo of the Chinese? Someone exclaimed in surprise, and a look of awe immediately appeared on his face. Ancestor Purple Bamboo was a genuine sage ruler expert who had lived for countless years. He was once famous in the divine realm and his strength was unfathomable. No one had expected that Patriarch Purple Bamboo would be the one to attack. Ancestor, you're finally here. Ancestor, please take action and kill this bastard to avenge my 8 brothers. After seeing the old man, the great heavenly king immediately cupped his hands and bowed. His eyes were filled with awe. Trash. You can't even deal with Ling Xiao. 8 of the 9 heavenly kings are dead. You're the sinner of the Chinese. Ancestor Purple Bamboo glanced coldly at the great heavenly king. In fact, his heart was bleeding. Even if the Chinese had a huge business and a deep foundation, it was not so easy to cultivate a great sage powerhouse. Now, 8 of them were killed by Ling Xiao in an instant. It was not that Black Bamboo Patriarch was unwilling to make a move. He had been hiding in the dark and was ready to make a move when Ling Xiao was about to kill Huaqiu. However, he was stopped at the critical moment. The person in the dark used a supreme ability to seal up the space, preventing saint rulers from entering. Ancestor Zizhu only managed to break through the seal with great difficulty and made his way in. However, when he appeared, he happened to see that Ling Xiao had successfully transcended the tribulation. Of the 9 heavenly kings, only one great heavenly king was left. Ancestor, I'm guilty. However, the most important thing now is to kill Ling Xiao. As long as we can get the heavenly luck and the wordless heavenly book, we Chinese can pay any price. The great heavenly king whispered to Patriarch Purple Bamboo. Get lost. Ancestor Purple Bamboo scolded, but he also tacitly agreed with the great heavenly king's words. The most important thing now was to kill Ling Xiao and seize the heavenly fate and the wordless heavenly book. For this, they could do anything. A saint ruler of the Chinese? I didn't expect a saint ruler to launch a sneak attack from behind. How despicable. Ling Xiao sneered, and his eyes were incomparably deep. If he had not sensed something from the great heavenly king's expression just now, that blow would have been enough to seriously injure him. A saint ruler was unfathomable. He was the king of the saint path. His words were the law of the world. His strength far exceeded that of a great saint. Perhaps 10 saints could barely fight a great saint, but 10 great saints were no match for a saint ruler. It could even be said that it was a one-sided massacre. Ling Xiao, you killed 8 Chinese people. You'll pay with your life. Ancestor Zizhu said faintly. Without any explanation, he slammed his palm toward Ling Xiao without any hesitation at all. At the level of a saint ruler, it could be said that he stood at the peak of the Almighty. When the great emperors and imperial emperors did not appear, a saint ruler was an invincible existence. Naturally, they did as they pleased. They did not need to care about any false reputation or opinions. Did they need a reason to kill someone or snatch something? After paying such a huge price and finally testing Ling Xiao's true combat strength, Ancestor Zizhu naturally had no scruples and attacked directly. Rumble. The huge palm print covered the sky and the sun. It was mighty like the hand of God. Not only was it incomparably huge, but it also contained the power to annihilate everything. It slammed directly toward Ling Xiao. If this palm fell, even a great sage would be slapped to death in an instant. There was no exception. Open for me. A sharp light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes, revealing a blood-red fighting spirit. The flipping sky seal spun in his palm, and in an instant, it exploded with unparalleled divine power. It flew across the sky to meet Ancestor Zizhu. At the same time, Ling Xiao erupted with his strongest strength. His glabella, inner body, heart force, and physical body were all shining, turning into 4 immortal divine rings suspended behind him. It made him emit a wave of invulnerability. Kacha! The flipping sky seal was like an ancient mountain. Its power was extremely terrifying. However, after colliding with Ancestor Zizhu's palm, it was slapped away by Ancestor Zizhu's palm. The palm did not decrease in power and collided with Ling Xiao again. Ling Xiao's body trembled violently. The 4 divine rings were also extremely bright in an instant. As if they had reached the limit of what they could bear, tiny cracks appeared. Ling Xiao's body shook violently. His qi and blood surged as he flew backward with a loud bang. The gap is too big. A saint ruler is the king of the holy path. He can control the great Tao of heaven and earth as he pleases. With my current cultivation, even if I'm in the 4 saint realms, I'm only a saint. The difference of 2 realms is like heaven and earth. Ling Xiao sighed softly in his heart. However, his gaze became sharper and sharper. His battle-intent soared and a vast aura surged between his eyebrows. An ancient heavenly book suddenly appeared in the sky and bloomed with a dazzling light. The wordless heavenly book floated above Ling Xiao's head. It was filled with chaotic light, as if the scene of the birth and death of an infinite world had appeared. A vast and terrifying power poured into Ling Xiao's body, causing his aura to skyrocket. The wordless heavenly book. The wordless heavenly book has appeared. Ancestor Zizhu has finally made Ling Xiao feel pressured. Is this the legendary wordless heavenly book, a chaotic supreme treasure? Everyone's eyes lit up instantly. Their breathing quickened and their bodies trembled. Chapter 23:45. In the sky, Yi Liangchen and a sloppy old Taoist stood side by side. However, the sloppy old Taoist looked very helpless, while Yi Liangchen's eyes were filled with worry. Old man, it seems like your attainments and formations are not good enough. Ancestor Zizhu has already escaped. I'm afraid that those old monsters will come in soon. Yi Liangchen snorted coldly. Ahem. Who said that my attainments and formations are not good enough? I was the #1 formation master in the ancient heavenly court. I sealed off all worlds. Even the great emperor could not break my formation. It's just that my health hasn't been good recently, so that old thing Zizhu took advantage of the loophole. Don't worry, they won't be able to break my Treistrimsa creation formation so easily. The sloppy old Taoist said awkwardly. Treistrimsa creation formation? Old man, can't you just save brother Ling Xiao? If this goes on, I'm afraid he will die in the hands of those old monsters sooner or later. Yi Liangchen said worriedly. How can it be so easy? Let me tell you, those old monsters are not the only ones who are after Ling Xiao. There are many existences that you can't imagine. If I dare to save him now, I'll die immediately. Do you believe me? That's right. Ling Xiao said with a smile. The sloppy old Taoist said with a bitter smile. Die an unnatural death. Could it be, could it be? Yi Liangchen's body trembled, and his eyes revealed a look of surprise. He knew very well that the sloppy old Taoist's strength was unfathomable. Even those old monsters in the Saint King realm would find it difficult to be a match for the sloppy old Taoist. Otherwise, the sloppy old Taoist wouldn't have been able to silently set up the Treistrimsa creation formation and stop many old monsters. Yi Liangchen realized that he had thought too simply. It seemed that the people who wanted to deal with Ling Xiao were not as simple as they seemed. You don't have to think too much. I can only do my best. Now that we are in the dark, those old things can't find our traces. If Ling Xiao is really in danger, I will make a move. The sloppy old Taoist said slowly. Ling Xiao knew that there was a huge gap between him and Ancestor Zizhu, so he did not hesitate to take out the wordless book. After collecting the 12 heaven skills, Ling Xiao had completely refined the wordless heavenly book. He also understood the mysteries of the wordless heavenly book. Although the wordless book was still severely damaged, it was still a chaos treasure. By all, it was able to unleash an extremely terrifying power. Rumble. Ling Xiao's body. His battle intent rose, and his aura skyrocketed. By his side. By his eyes, by his eyes, his aura. Buys by side, his aura buys and his aura buys, by, he, by God, by now, by buys and continued and were and by the time was with buys way with spies. Wordless heavenly book. Crack. Emperor technique, Great Chaotic Origin Seal. Accompanied by a majestic voice, the huge palm suddenly exploded. Endless chaotic light surged and gathered towards his palm. It was like a bright sun, but also like an ancient chaotic world. It instantly made everyone's heart palpitate. Heaven fighting. The battle intent around Ling Xiao also rose to the extreme in an instant. He directly charged towards Ancestor Zizhu. With a punch, divine light bloomed all over the sky. It contained an unparalleled power, causing the earth and sky to shake. Rumble. The Great Chaotic Origin Seal was the Chinese emperor technique that Ancestor Purple Bamboo cultivated. It contained the chaotic origin and the unparalleled divine power that could destroy everything. After Ling Xiao's punch was strengthened by the wordless heavenly book, he also pushed the heaven battling secret skill to the extreme. With a peerless fighting spirit, the two fists collided with each other. The void shook and divine light gushed out. Although Ling Xiao's physical body was unparalleled, he was no match for the Great Chaotic Origin Seal. He was sent flying by Ancestor Zizhu's palm. Swoosh! Although Ling Xiao was sent flying, he did not suffer any injuries. His eyes became more and more dazzling, and the aura around him rose rapidly. In an instant, 5 rays of bright light appeared in his palm. They were like 5 rays of sword chi that swept through the void. They contained the mysterious fluctuations of the 5 elements and continued to attack Ancestor Zizhu. 5 elements. Ling Xiao's aura changed drastically in an instant. It was as if he had turned into a peerless assassin. His fighting spirit soared and the 5 elements sword chi grew endlessly, enveloping Ancestor Zizhu. Boom! Ancestor Zizhu's divine gang shield was extremely strong. Although the 5 elements sword chi was powerful, they shattered when they hit the divine gang shield. In the end, Ancestor Zizhu threw out a palm and the 5 elements sword chi was completely annihilated. Yin and Yang. The battle intent around Ling Xiao rose even more. In an instant, it transformed into Yin and Yang Qi. The power of extreme Yang and extreme Yin and extreme gentleness merged into one on his body, transforming into a huge Yin and Yang millstone that crushed down on Ancestor Zizhu. Get out of my way. Ancestor Zizhu frowned as a sense of irritation appeared in his heart. Although Ling Xiao had received the support of the wordless heavenly book, he was still not his opponent. However, Ling Xiao's attacks were like endless waves, wave after wave. Although he had broken through them, he did not cause any damage to Ling Xiao. Moreover, he vaguely felt that Ling Xiao's attack seemed to be accumulating power. Every attack contained a completely different change, but his attacks were getting fiercer and fiercer. Boom! Black Bamboo Ancestor used the Great Chaotic Origin Seal again, smashing the yin-yang millstone in the void into dust. Then, he slammed it on Ling Xiao's body and sent him flying. However, Ling Xiao's body shone brightly. The wordless heavenly book shone with a brilliant light. The heaven-devouring secret skill devoured everything. It devoured all of Ancestor Zizhu's power and dissipated it. Just like that, Ling Xiao's full-powered attacks were all broken by Ancestor Zizhu. However, Ling Xiao launched another attack and an intense battle broke out between the two. Ancestor Zizhu also realized that Ling Xiao's power was getting stronger and stronger. In the beginning, he could break Ling Xiao's attack with a casual attack. In the end, he had to go all out to block Ling Xiao's power. This is the 12 Sky Skills secret skill. I'd like to see what tricks you have up your sleeve. Chapter 2346. Reincarnation. Ling Xiao roared once more amidst the incomparably intense battle. Rumble. In an instant, the void around him trembled as a mysterious reincarnation aura spread out, blooming with dazzling light. Endless reincarnation light swept towards Ancestor Purple Bamboo like an ocean. Every ray of reincarnation light seemed to be able to draw people into the endless reincarnation, completely erasing them from the world without leaving a trace. The light of reincarnation surged violently, causing Ancestor Purple Bamboo to feel threatened. Is this the secret reincarnation technique of the Samsara Temple? Boy, have a taste of my heavenly capital divine slash. Ancestor Purple Bamboo shouted coldly. In an instant, an extremely terrifying aura erupted from his body like a volcanic eruption. He turned his palm into a saber, and the vast saber aura seemed to be able to destroy everything. As the saber slashed down, 12 saber shadows appeared and gathered together at the same time, setting off an endless storm in all directions, wanting to completely destroy everything. Another emperor technique. Everyone's heart trembled. As expected of a Saint King realm expert, the Hua clan with a deep foundation. The two supreme emperor techniques that Ancestor Purple Bamboo cultivated were extremely terrifying. In particular, the heavenly capital divine slash was rumored to be from the heavenly capital scripture of Emperor Tiandu. It contained unfathomable divine power that could destroy all living things. Crack. The sky shook as the endless reincarnation light collided with the saber aura, causing the surrounding void to tremble. In the end, they were annihilated at the same time, and both Ling Xiao and Ancestor Purple Bamboo were forced to retreat. Karma. Ling Xiao's eyes were as bright as a sword, and the fighting spirit around him rose to the extreme. He used the secret karma technique again, exuding a mysterious and vast force of karma. It was like the belief of all living things, enough to make a saint fall into the abyss of hell. Once again, he charged towards Ancestor Purple Bamboo. As the saying went, saints were not tainted by karma because the force of karma was so terrifying that even saints dared not touch it. Otherwise, they would be entangled with karma and eventually be devoured by the heavenly way. Ling Xiao's attack was extremely overbearing, causing Ancestor Purple Bamboo's expression to turn increasingly ugly. Damn it! He didn't expect Ling Xiao to be so difficult to deal with after receiving the support of the wordless heavenly book. The 12 Sky Skills secret technique in Ling Xiao's hands shone with unparalleled sharpness, making him somewhat unable to fend for himself. If this continued, he might really lose in Ling Xiao's hands. How did Ling Xiao become so ferocious after using the wordless heavenly book? Even Ancestor Purple Bamboo can fight him without falling into a disadvantageous position. This is truly unbelievable. Everyone's voice was trembling as they watched the battle between Ling Xiao and Ancestor Purple Bamboo. They were filled with emotions. From killing Huang Tai in the beginning to killing Hua Qiu and the other 8 heavenly kings, Ling Xiao had taken out the wordless heavenly book and was actually able to fight Patriarch Purple Bamboo. This was simply beyond everyone's understanding. Was this something a saint could do? The Chosen One is truly heaven-defying. We humans like to be unreasonable. Now, we can't even tolerate the heaven's chosen child. Right now, our human race is facing a great enemy, and the divine world is surrounded by wolves. The great tribulation of the epoch is about to arrive. At this time, instead of thinking about uniting all forces, you want to eliminate dissidents, kill people, and seize treasures? Ha! This is our human race. There were also people who said with incomparable sorrow, their eyes filled with disappointment. That's right. Ling Xiao is so monstrous. In the future, he might even become the 10th emperor of the human race. How can the so-called 12 sacred grounds and supreme emperor tribes be so short-sighted? Someone echoed with emotion. Hee, so what? Are there not many spineless people in the human race? Now, there are lackeys who have defected to the demon race. When the time comes, even if the human race is annihilated by the demon race, as long as they defected to the demon race and were willing to give up their human bloodline, they would naturally be able to live well. Someone sneered. Unknowingly, everyone's attitude began to change. Originally, everyone had a look of indifference and watched coldly as Ling Xiao was surrounded and killed by everyone. After all, such things had happened too often over the countless years. An ordinary man's wealth is his own ruin. Ling Xiao had offended the immortal sacred grounds and supreme emperor tribes, but he had become the chosen one and obtained the wordless heavenly book. How could those sacred grounds and supreme emperor tribes let him go? However, no one expected Ling Xiao to be so monstrous. Not only did he achieve the unprecedented 4 saint realms, but he also killed great saints with his saint realm cultivation. Now, he even fought with a saint king. Such peerless talent could no longer be described as monstrous. Many people suddenly felt that perhaps Ling Xiao was the hope and future of the human race. Therefore, everyone unconsciously stood in Ling Xiao's position and began to sympathize with him. They even began to hate those immortal sacred grounds and supreme emperor tribes. Puff! Puff! However, at this moment, two screams sounded in the void, attracting everyone's attention. Among the three people who were besieging Lu Bai, the Southern Heaven Great Sage and the Northern Heaven Great Sage were directly killed by Lu Bai. Their entire bodies turned into a cloud of blood mist, and their souls were completely destroyed. Bastard! Lu Bai, you are a Saint King realm cultivator. You have been lying to me all this time. Zhong Tian Great Sage's eyes were filled with shock and anger. He was so angry that his whole body trembled as he pointed at Lu Bai and roared. Correct. Your 4 brothers are already dead. Why don't you accompany them? Lu Bai smiled indifferently, his expression incomparably calm. His robe was whiter than snow as he strolled in the void. Blood rain swirled around him, but it did not stain his robe. His entire body exuded an ethereal and otherworldly aura. A vast and unfathomable aura erupted, making Lu Bai look like a supreme king at this moment. He was majestic, mysterious, and ancient. Kacha! He struck out with his palm. A vast palm print swept across the void and enveloped Zhong Tian Great Sage, giving him no chance to escape. Ah! I don't accept this. I don't accept this. Old ancestor, save me. Zhong Tian Great Sage roared angrily, but his eyes were filled with incomparable terror. He was already heavily injured, so how could he withstand Lu Bai's full cultivation? He was directly blown apart by Lu Bai's palm, and his miserable cries came to an abrupt end. At this point, the 5 heavenly great sages of the 9 imperial gates were all dead. Saint King. Lu Bai has become a Saint King. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, their eyes filled with incomparable reverence. Lu Bai had only become the war god of the war god temple for a few 100,000 years, but his talent was extraordinary. He had made a name for himself in the god world, and once suppressed the younger generation to the point that he was invincible. Now that Lu Bai had become a Saint King, there was probably no one who could stop him anymore. Chapter 2347. Rumble. Saintly might rose around elder purple bamboo, and wisps of sword aura appeared. Those were the swords of his primordial spirit, capable of destroying everything. The power of karma that shrouded him was destroyed by the swords of the primordial spirit. Patriarch Purple Bamboo had to use all his strength before he managed to break through the vast karmic powers around him. He rushed out from within. The karma's secret skill was too terrifying. The karma power was enough to make a saint suffer from chi deviation and fall into infernal hell. Even though Ancestor Purple Bamboo was powerful, he did not want to be contaminated by the karma power. Lu Bai has become a Saint King. Ancestor Purple Bamboo destroyed the karma power around him and was shocked by the scene of Lu Bai killing the culmination saint. His eyes were filled with shock, and his expression was somewhat unsightly. In terms of seniority, Ancestor Purple Bamboo was even more senior than the Scarlet Dragon War God. He was an antique who had lived for millions of years. He still remembered that Lu Bai was just a child hundreds of thousands of years ago, even younger than his grandchildren. But hundreds of thousands of years had passed, and Lu Bai had risen in a heaven-defying manner. He was now on equal footing with him and had become a supreme Saint King. This caused Ancestor Purple Bamboo's heart to be extremely unsettled. Destiny. Ling Xiao roared, exuding an illusory destiny power. In an instant, endless divine light bloomed from his palm and enveloped Ancestor Purple Bamboo. That was the light of destiny, which could directly attack the fate of living beings and wipe out everything. It was extremely terrifying. This was the first time Ling Xiao had fully activated the karma secret skill after cultivating it. The vast light of destiny instantly pulled Ancestor Purple Bamboo's thoughts back. His eyes were extremely solemn. At this moment, he felt a fatal threat from Ling Xiao's body. The karma secret skill of the Fane of Destiny? Damn it! Ancestor Purple Bamboo trembled and was even a little flustered. He knew how terrifying the karma secret skill was. Legend had it that it could turn the wheel of destiny and wipe out all living beings. Rumble. The sacred light around Patriarch Purple Bamboo suddenly erupted. His eyes revealed rays of blazing divine light, causing the surrounding sky to shake. 12 runes appeared between his palms in an instant. His aura skyrocketed in the void and turned into 12 ancient formation flags. They fell around him and formed an ancient and mysterious formation. The 12 Divine Wraith Formation. This was the supreme imperial formation of the Chinese. According to legend, it was created by Emperor Tiandu. Not only did it contain the power to destroy everything, but it could also seal the sky and earth and defend against everything. Under the cover of the 12 Divine Wraith Formation, Ancestor Zizhu's aura became ethereal and illusory. The light of destiny swept across the sky and collided with the great 12 Divine Wraith Array in an instant. Boom! Like a terrifying storm, the light of destiny illuminated the sky, causing the great 12 Divine Wraith Array to shake violently as if it would be annihilated at any time. Ancestor Purple Bamboo also unleashed his full power. His nascent spirit shone brilliantly, splitting into 12 nascent spirits to suppress the 12 Divine Wraith Formation, making the 12 formation flags extremely sturdy. In the end, they forcefully blocked the invasion of the light of destiny. Ancestor Zizhu, take my last move, Chaos. Ling Zhao's eyes were extremely sharp. After using the Karma secret skill, he did not stop and attacked again. Boom! The void around Ling Zhao suddenly shattered. The surrounding sky shook violently and the great path precepts appeared. A vast chaotic light rose up and Ling Zhao's aura instantly rose to the extreme. 12 divine rings appeared behind Ling Zhao. They were like 12 vast and ancient worlds, spewing out endless light. Heaven battling, 5 elements, yin and yang. Samsara, karma, destiny, and chaos. The 12 Divine Wraith secret skill exploded at the same time. It was as if they had merged with the secret skill of chaos. They directly manifested a supreme power that could destroy the world and caused Ling Zhao's aura to skyrocket. The 12 ancient worlds suppressed Ancestor Zizhu at the same time. They rumbled and shook the sky. They sealed the surrounding area and surrounded Ancestor Zizhu in the center. The aura that Ling Zhao exuded made Ancestor Zizhu's scalp tingle. His expression instantly became extremely solemn. Ling Zhao's aura and strength continued to skyrocket from the heaven-battling secret skill to the secret skill of chaos. Finally, when he used the secret skill of chaos, he exploded with his strongest power. Ling Zhao, you're courting death. Ancestor Zizhu's eyes were extremely sharp and contained a blazing killing intent. Buzz! Dazzling light flickered in his hand. In an instant, an ancient black flag appeared. It fluttered in the void and covered the entire area. It was like a huge canopy that exuded a vast emperor's aura. After the black flag appeared, the void instantly shattered. Even the chaotic laws of heaven in the Lingshao mountain range had no way of resisting this black flag. The 12 ancient worlds trembled violently as if they were about to be shattered by the black flag. That's the heavenly divine wraith flag of the Chinese? Someone exclaimed, his voice trembling violently. Emperor Tiandu of the Chinese was one of the 9 emperors of the human tribe. It was said that he was also a formation emperor. The heavenly divine wraith flag that he left behind for the Chinese was an extreme Dao emperor weapon. The heavenly divine wraith flag was not only an extreme Dao emperor weapon, but also a supreme formation disc. It could form the 12 heavenly divine wraith formation. It was extremely powerful. No one had expected Ancestor Zizhu to bring the extreme Dao emperor weapon that could suppress the fate of the Chinese for Ling Zhao. It's over. Once the heavenly divine wraith flag appears, Ling Zhao will definitely die. That's right. Although the wordless heavenly book is powerful, it's not an offensive treasure. Now that it's damaged, I'm afraid it won't be able to resist the heavenly divine wraith flag. Is Ling Shao going to die in the hands of the Chinese? Everyone's hearts were in their mouths and their eyes were filled with shock. At this moment, Ling Shao looked extremely calm. It was as if he was not surprised by the appearance of the heavenly divine wraith flag. Rumble. Dazzling light shone in his palm. In an instant, the time compass soared into the sky like a dazzling sun. It emitted endless brilliance and endless time power. Freeze. Ling Shao uttered a word. In an instant, the time compass collided with the heavenly divine wraith flag. The vast and ancient time power surged and froze in the void with the heavenly divine wraith flag. Chapter 23:48. No one had expected Ling Shao to have the time compass, an extreme Tao Emperor weapon. The time compass was the supreme emperor weapon of the flowing time emperor. It was famous in the ancient times as it contained the power of time origin and could destroy everything. Ling Shao had used the time compass to activate the power of time and stop the flow of time, forming a time-stop domain. Not only did it stop the supreme heaven divine fiend flag for a moment, but even ancestor purple bamboo was trapped in the time-stop domain. He could only watch Ling Shao charge towards him. The supreme heaven divine fiend flag was also an extreme Tao emperor weapon. The time-stop domain formed by the time compass shattered after a moment. However, this moment was enough for Ling Shao to kill ancestor purple bamboo. Ling Shao, you, ancestor purple bamboo was enraged, but Ling Zhao's unparalleled battle prowess forced him to swallow his words. He could only hurriedly circulate his cultivation to resist. Rumble. The sky shook as a vast heavenly secret skill exploded. The 12 ancient worlds seemed to be able to destroy everything. They instantly slammed onto ancestor purple bamboo's body. At the same time, they were like a huge millstone that began to move slowly. Puff! Ancestor purple bamboo spat out a mouthful of blood as his body trembled violently. Ling Zhao's supreme attack had caused him an unimaginable injury. He roared angrily as he unleashed the supreme combat strength of a sage king. He kept attacking the surrounding worlds. Every attack had the power to destroy heaven and earth, shattering the ancient worlds. Suppress. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as the flipping sky seal spun across the sky. The vast extreme Tao Emperor's aura was activated. It was like an immortal mountain as it smashed towards ancestor purple bamboo. The flipping sky seal was an incomplete heavenly emperor's seal. Although it was severely damaged, it still retained some of the power of an extreme Tao Emperor weapon. At this moment, Ling Shao had activated the extreme Tao Emperor's aura contained in it. Rumble. Ancestor purple bamboo hastily blocked the attack. His arm was smashed into a bloody mist by the flipping sky seal. He staggered back and coughed out another mouthful of blood. Ling Shao, I will kill you. Ancestor purple bamboo roared as his eyes were filled with rage and killing intent. Boom! The blood chi around his body was monstrous, as if it was on fire. His Saint King realm cultivation erupted to the extreme, and he directly summoned the capital heaven divine fiend flag that was entangled with the time compass in the void. The capital heaven divine killing flag split into 12 formation flags in a split second. Runes intertwined with each other, and a vast formation rose up, directly forming the 12 capital heaven divine killing formation, the supreme formation of the Hua people. With the protection of the great 12 capital heaven divine wraith formation, Patriarch Purple Bamboo finally had a chance to catch his breath. Boom! 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 The flipping sky seal was like an immemorial divine mountain. It repeatedly collided with the 12 divine beings killing formation, but it was bounced back. It was unable to break through the defense of the formation. Ancestor Purple Bamboo, are you trying to be a coward? You're a Saint King of the Chinese, but you don't even dare to fight with me. If Emperor Tiandu was still alive and knew that there was such an unfilial descendant like you, I'm afraid he would be angered to death. Ling Shao sneered coldly. However, he had to admit that although he had the wordless heavenly book and the time compass, Patriarch Purple Bamboo was also an old fox. He was scared out of his wits by Ling Xiao and directly used the capital Heaven Divine Killing flag to evolve the 12 capital Heaven Divine Killing formation, forming a turtle shell to protect himself. With Ling Xiao's strength, it was indeed very difficult for him to break through the 12 capital Heaven Divine Killing formation. Ling Xiao, don't be arrogant. I didn't expect you to have the inheritance of the Flowing Time Emperor. It seems that this time, you have another reason to die. Patriarch Purple Bamboo sneered. He was not provoked by Ling Xiao's words. Instead, he pointed out that Ling Xiao had the inheritance of the Flowing Time Emperor. Sure enough, as soon as Patriarch Purple Bamboo's voice fell, a cold and greedy look appeared in the eyes of the people from the Space-Time Heavenly Gate. Speaking of which, the Space-Time Heavenly Gate also hated Ling Xiao to the core. The Holy Son of the Space-Time Heavenly Gate had also died at Ling Xiao's hands. However, the Space-Time Heavenly Gate did not make a move because they wanted the Chinese and the 9 Imperial Obelisk to take the lead. Now that they saw that Ling Xiao had the time compass, the Space-Time Heavenly Gate could no longer remain calm. Ling Xiao, the Flowing Time Emperor, is the founder of the Space-Time Heavenly Gate. If you are willing to hand over the inheritance of the Flowing Time Emperor and the Time Compass, the Space-Time Heavenly Gate can let you go. What do you think? From the Space-Time Heavenly Gate, an old great sage with white hair and beard walked out and said slowly. What a joke! The Space-Time Heavenly Gate has only obtained part of the inheritance of the Flowing Time Emperor and the Space Emperor. These two are great emperors from ancient times. What do they have to do with the Space-Time Heavenly Gate? Since Ling Xiao has the time compass, it means that he has received the recognition of the Flowing Time Emperor and is the successor of the Flowing Time Emperor. The Space-Time Heavenly Gate is as shameless as ever. Lu Bai said indifferently as his gaze fell on the old great sage. You want the time compass? You people from the Space-Time Heavenly Gate are not worthy. Ling Xiao said with a cold smile. His words made the people from the Space-Time Heavenly Gate fly into a rage as they glared at him. However, Ling Xiao did not care at all. As the saying goes, when one has many lice, one will not be afraid of itching. Ling Xiao also knew that many of the Holy Lands and sects who came today probably did not intend to let him go so easily. Instead of feigning civility with them, it was better to fight with real swords and spears. However, what Ling Xiao could not figure out was why only one Saint King, Ancestor Purple Bamboo, had appeared so far. The 5 heavens great sages of the 9 imperial gates had all been killed by Lu Bai, but no one came out to stop him, let alone the people from the other sects. Saint King Lu, Ling Xiao, originally, the Space-Time Heavenly Gate wanted to spare your lives, but since you don't know what's good for you, then don't blame us. Ancestor, please kill this person for the Space-Time Heavenly Gate. The old great sage glanced gloomily at Lu Bai and Ling Xiao, then bowed respectfully to the void. Rumble. As soon as the old great sage's voice fell, the void in all directions began to tremble violently in an instant. The sky shattered with a loud bang, as if the heavenly gates had been opened, spewing out endless bright light. Powerful figures stepped out of the heavenly gates, exuding an unfathomable aura that completely covered the brilliance of the sun. Ling Xiao's eyes narrowed as he suddenly realized that the aura of these figures was not weaker than Ancestor Purple Bamboo. They were all Saint Kings. Chapter 2349. Rumble. The sky shook, and the sun and moon dimmed. The sky shook violently, and rays of divine light fell from the sky. Auspicious air rose in the surroundings, and runes circled around. The mysterious scene of the sun, moon, mountains, and rivers appeared. More than a dozen powerful figures appeared in the sky, exuding an unfathomable sage aura. The sage ruler old ancestors of the various sects had arrived. The sage ruler old ancestors were shrouded in a chaotic mist. Although their faces could not be seen clearly, their eyes were extremely cold. Lu Bai, you dare to kill the 5 heavens great saints of the 9 heavens imperial court. You'll pay with your life. A man in a purple robe said as he stared at Lu Bai. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. The purple-robed figure was the sage ruler old ancestor of the 9 heavens imperial court. They had been trapped by the Triastria formation of creation earlier, and the purple-robed figure could only watch as the 5 heavens' great saints died at the hands of Lu Bai. His heart was bleeding. This was an unbearable loss for the 9 heavens' imperial court. However, this was all thanks to Ling Xiao and Lu Bai. Purple-robed old ancestor, aren't you afraid of being annihilated by the 9 heavens' imperial court? Lu Bai said indifferently, as if he did not care about the purple-robed figure's threat at all. Good, good, good. Lu Bai, do you really think that you can be arrogant in front of me just because you're a Tao-proving sage ruler? Not only will Ling Xiao die today, but your war god temple will also be destroyed. The purple-robed figure was so angry that he laughed. The killing intent in his eyes was almost tangible. Who was the one who set up the Triastria formation of creation earlier? Do you really want to be a coward? Whether you come out or not, Ling Xiao will definitely die today. An old man in a black and white robe said indifferently. His cold eyes were like golden lamps that swept across the void, as if he could see through everything. He was the sage ruler old ancestor of the spacetime heavenly gate. At this moment, he secretly used his divine power to find the person who had set up the formation. However, to his disappointment, no matter how he provoked him, the person in the dark was determined not to appear. Ling Xiao, if it weren't for the fact that someone had secretly set up a formation to stop us, you would have long been reduced to ashes. Could it be that you still want to resist at this point? The saint ruler of the heavenly curse sect also stepped forward and stared at Ling Xiao coldly. After destroying the Triastria formation of creation, the saint rulers finally decided to deal with Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's heaven-defying talent and battle prowess made them secretly shocked. Once such a monstrous person matured, no one would be able to control him. Since he had already offended him, he might as well kill him directly and not leave any future troubles. You beat up the young one and now the old one is here. What a bunch of shameless old bastards. It's because of you bastards who only know how to bully at home that the human race has fallen to such a state. Come, 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 I want to see if you can kill me. Ling Xiao smiled coldly. His eyes shone with an extremely sharp light, like a drawn sword. He glanced past all the saint rulers before him without any fear. Is this Ling Xiao crazy? He wants to face so many saint ruler old ancestors alone. Everyone was shocked as they stared at Ling Xiao in disbelief. Although Ling Xiao's talent was incomparably monstrous, his battle prowess was extremely powerful, and he had all sorts of creation on him. Everyone still thought that he would not have any chance of survival today. After all, this time, the saint lands and sovereign tribes of the divine world had joined forces to strip Ling Xiao of his title as the Chosen One and the wordless heavenly book. Of course, now there was the addition of the time compass, an extreme Tao Emperor weapon. Regardless of whether he's going to die today, just his bearing and courage is enough to make me admire him. This Ling Xiao is indeed extraordinary. Someone exclaimed in surprise. It's not just a dozen saint ruler old ancestors. These saint ruler old ancestors all have saint lands and sovereign tribes behind them. They all have the inheritance of the supreme emperors. If they take out a few powerful emperor weapons, I'm afraid Ling Xiao won't be able to withstand it. That's hard to say. Didn't you notice? Among the 12 immortal saint lands, the chaotic heavenly sect, Wanfo Temple, Samsara Temple, and Taishang Dao Palace have all remained silent and did not take action against Ling Xiao. Could it be that they will help Ling Xiao? And the Golden Sovereign Tribe? Moreover, I heard from the saint ruler old ancestor of the spacetime heavenly sect that someone had set up the Triastrimsa creation formation to stop them. It seems like someone is secretly helping Ling Xiao. Sigh. It's getting messy. However, I don't wish for Ling Xiao to die in their hands. It's not easy for the human race to produce such a peerless genius. Looking at the dozen saint ruler old ancestors in the sky, everyone's faces were filled with respect. However, there were still some who looked forward to it. Perhaps, Ling Xiao could really create another miracle. Fellow cultivators, this boy is just relying on the wordless heavenly book and the time compass. He's only in the saint realm and doesn't have any treasures. He can be killed with a flip of the hand. There's no need to talk so much nonsense with him. Just kill him. Ancestor Zizhu stared at Ling Xiao and sneered. Previously, he had taken out the extreme Tao Emperor weapon, the capital Heaven Divine Fiend flag, but it had been stopped by the time compass. As a result, he had been defeated by Ling Xiao and felt extremely humiliated. He could not wait to tear Ling Xiao into pieces. Among everyone, he was the one who wanted Ling Xiao's life the most. Treasures to protect yourself. Without sufficient strength, the so-called external objects are useless. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. The Saint Ruler Old Ancestor of the 9 Imperial Gates sneered and took the lead to attack Ling Xiao. Rumble. Lightning flashed around him and his attack contained vast heavenly might. As he struck, it was as if the heavens and earth were split open. The sun and moon filled the sky and turned into bolts of lightning that were like divine dragons that attacked Ling Xiao. To be exact, he was grabbing at the wordless heavenly book above Ling Xiao's head. Kill. This boy is a spy of the demon race. Everyone has the right to kill him. The old ancestor of the spacetime heavenly sect said coldly as he grabbed at the time compass. Rumble. The dozen Saint Ruler Old Ancestors seemed to have set off a terrifying torrent that shook the heavens in all directions. They wanted to destroy everything completely. These Saint Ruler Old Ancestors each had their own ulterior motives. They all coveted the treasures on Ling Xiao. Therefore, they were unwilling to fall behind and attacked Ling Xiao at the same time. They did not even care about their status as Saint Rulers. The fortune and treasures on Ling Xiao had tempted them. However, Ling Xiao's demonic talent made them extremely fearful. It was better for such a demonic person to die. Otherwise, many people would not be able to rest easy. Crack. Chapter 2350. The wordless heavenly book was a chaos supreme treasure. It had suffered great damage in the battle at the beginning of the human era. As Ling Xiao gathered the 12 sky secret techniques, it began to gradually recover. Now, the wordless heavenly book was like a natural plant. It had bathed in thunder and rain and began to grow vigorously. It constantly absorbed the energy of the heavens to replenish itself. Ling Xiao believed that one day, the wordless heavenly book would be completely restored. Now, the wordless heavenly book had accumulated a vast amount of origin energy. It was like an endless sea. It was the power that the wordless heavenly book used to recover itself. At this moment, it was activated by Ling Xiao and all of it poured into his body, causing his strength to soar wildly. Boom! 12 ancient worlds appeared around him, and at the same time, they spewed out endless chaotic light. 12 types of supreme will of Tao flowed slowly, giving him a kind of indestructible fluctuation, as if he could destroy everything with a raise of his hand. Bang! Ling Xiao punched out across the sky, erupting with the supreme heaven battling secret technique. Endless fighting spirit gathered as if the fighting spirits of the heavens had been summoned by Ling Xiao. An extremely intense battle began. The 9 imperial obelisks' purple-robed ancestor collided with Ling Xiao. The supreme fighting spirit instantly shattered the thunder and lightning that filled the sky. Both of them were struck by lightning and retreated at the same time. Crack! Above the sky, a vast black and white light fell from the sky. It contained the power of the void and the ethereal power of time. It seemed to form a perfect balance in that light. The space-time heavenly gate's ancestor had arrived. This was the space-time light blade. It could destroy everything. It could break down countless living beings into the most fundamental particles and completely melt them in the spacetime. Although the spacetime heavenly gate had lost the complete inheritance of the flowing time great emperor, the spacetime heavenly gate had a deep foundation. They had discovered many time and space secret techniques from the ancient secret zone and created new ones, causing the spacetime heavenly gate's strength to grow. In the face of the spacetime light blade, even Ling Xiao did not dare to be careless. Break! The flipping sky seal in Ling Xiao's palm spun and instantly slammed into the spacetime light blade. You're courting death. The spacetime heavenly gate's ancestors' eyes were overflowing with murderous intent. His space-time light blade destroyed everything. Even a supreme sacred treasure could not block it. Flipping Sky Seal was strong, but in front of the space-time patriarch, it could not withstand a single blow. Clang! However, what shocked him was that the Flipping Sky Seal was extremely sturdy. After colliding with the space-time light blade, blazing sparks burst out. Not even a mark was left on the Flipping Sky Seal. Moreover, an unparalleled power erupted from the Flipping Sky Seal and directly shattered the space-time light blade. Boom! 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 Ling Xiao seemed to possess endless power. The tremendous origin energy within the wordless heaven scroll had all been poured into him. Coupled with the full power of the 12 heaven skills, he actually did not lose the upper hand against all the saint rulers for a moment. What the crowd did not notice was that the Flipping Sky Seal did not return to Ling Xiao's hand after breaking the spacetime light blade. Instead, it flew towards Lu Bai. Heavenly Emperor's Seal. Lu Bai muttered to himself in a voice that no one else could hear. His eyes were filled with a strange expression. Wang! Light flashed in his palm and an ancient golden seal appeared. It looked ancient and mysterious and seemed to be engraved with the stars of the heavens and the mysterious scenes of all living beings. It seemed to be a supreme authority that could suppress the heavens. At the same time, it exuded a monstrous battle intent. This is the War God Hall's Heaven Battling Seal. Someone exclaimed. His eyes were filled with extreme shock. The War God Hall's Supreme Emperor weapon was extremely mysterious. Although everyone knew that it was the War God Hall's Heaven Battling Seal, it rarely appeared. It was only rumored that the War God Hall's Heaven Battling Seal had once revealed its supreme power in the battle 1,000,000 years ago. No one was surprised. Since Lu Bai had come to save Ling Xiao alone, he must have brought the War God Hall's Heaven Battling Seal with him. However, why did the Flipping Sky Seal give off the same aura as the War God Hall's Heaven Battling Seal? Boom! Lu Bai's other hand glowed with resplendent light. Another ancient silver seal appeared in his hand. It sprinkled down resplendent rays of light. It looked dazzling, as bright and flawless as the full moon. However, the ancient silver seal seemed like it could break through the sky and fly away at any time. What is that? Everyone was shocked. They did not expect another ancient seal to appear in Lu Bai's hand. It did not look any weaker than the War God Hall's Heaven Battling Seal. Moreover, it gave off the same aura as the War God Hall's Heaven Battling Seal. Once divided, now complete. Flipping Sky Connecting Heavens, return to War God Hall. Heavenly Emperor Seal, condense. Lu Bai murmured softly to himself. It sounded like he was reciting scriptures, but it also sounded like the chanting of ancient people. It gave off an ancient and ethereal aura. Rumble. As Lu Bai chanted softly, the sky trembled violently. Runes rose and the great Tao precepts revealed an extremely mysterious scene. The Flipping Sky Seal, the Golden Ancient Seal, and the Silver Ancient Seal soared into the sky and floated in front of Lu Bai. They were like three suns in the sky, giving off endless light and heat. The three ancient seals slowly merged into one. An ancient and vast aura emerged from it. It was as if it could suppress the 9 heavens and 10 earths and sweep across the heavens. It gave off an incomparably noble aura. Heavenly Emperor Seal. It's really the Heavenly Emperor Seal. An old sage exclaimed, his entire body trembling violently. Saint Tianji, what is the Heavenly Emperor Seal that you mentioned? Everyone asked curiously. That old saint was called the Saint Tianji. Legend had it that he had lived for countless years. He was an antique and knew countless ancient secrets. Now that even the Saint Tianji was so shocked, they guessed that the Heavenly Emperor Seal must be something extraordinary. The Heavenly Emperor Seal is naturally the supreme authority that the Heavenly Emperor used to control the myriad worlds. It is also the Heavenly Emperor's most powerful Extreme Tao Emperor weapon. However, during the battle where the Heavenly Emperor fell, it was said that the Heavenly Emperor Seal was completely destroyed. However, some people said that the Heavenly Emperor Seal was once divided into 3 ancient seals. The war god Hall's war god seal was one of them. I didn't expect this legend to be true. The flipping sky seal, war god seal, and sky connecting seal. Now that the three seals have merged into one, is the Heavenly Emperor seal going to reappear in the world? The Saint Tianji was trembling all over. His eyes were filled with excitement. What? That's the Heavenly Emperor seal of the Heavenly Emperor? Everyone couldn't help but tremble. Their eyes were filled with horror. The 9 emperors of the human race had appeared in the sky. However, the Heavenly Emperor was undoubtedly ranked first. He was the leader of the 9 emperors. He had once led the human race to defeat the demon race. He was the supreme existence that started the human race's era. Chapter 23:51. The Heavenly Emperor's seal was the supreme treasure of the Heavenly Emperor. Everyone thought that the Heavenly Emperor's seal had been completely destroyed. They did not expect it to appear in Lu Bai's hands. They could not believe it and felt as if they were in a dream. This legendary Supreme Emperor's weapon had too many legends. It was said that it was the supreme power of the Heavenly Emperor to suppress the heavens and myriad worlds and wipe out the demon race. It had supreme divine power. Now, the flipping sky seal, the sky battling seal and the sky reaching seal had merged into one. The real Heavenly Emperor's seal was about to appear. Everyone was extremely excited and looked forward to it. Heavenly Emperor's seal. You're courting death. The purple-robed ancestor's eyes flashed with killing intent. Instantly, he exuded a vast and unparalleled aura, causing the surrounding sky to tremble violently. Kacha! Blazing saber radiance rose up and a purple war saber appeared in the purple-robed ancestor's palm. It exuded an ancient and mysterious aura. In an instant, thunder rumbled all over Zhou Tian. A vast sea of thunder emerged, looking ancient and mysterious. It was branded with all kinds of mysterious scenes and emitted a terrifying aura. The Heavenly Punishment Saber, the Supreme Emperor's weapon of the 9 imperial gates. The purple-robed ancestor knew how terrifying the Heavenly Emperor's seal was. Seeing that the 3 seals were about to merge into one and form a new Heavenly Emperor's seal, he did not hold back and directly took out the Heavenly Punishment Saber. The Heavenly Punishment Saber was a supreme killing treasure. Over the years, the 9 imperial gates had been refining it in endless thunder tribulations. It had become even more ferocious and had the power to destroy the heavens and earth. The Heavenly Punishment Saber slashed at the 3 ancient seals. It wanted to shatter the 3 ancient seals and prevent the Heavenly Emperor's seal from appearing. Stupid. Lu Bai's expression did not change. It was as if he was not worried about the purple-robed ancestor taking out the Heavenly Punishment Saber. Instead, there was a hint of mockery in his eyes. Rumble. The Heavenly Punishment Saber was wrapped in thunderbolts. It was like a punishment from the heavens that wanted to turn everything into dust. However, just when the Heavenly Punishment Blade was about to hit the 3 ancient seals, it suddenly stopped and began to tremble violently. The vast and unparalleled power of lightning within it actually surged towards the 3 ancient seals in a frenzy. The 3 ancient seals emitted dazzling rays of light in an instant, forming a mysterious ancient seal in the sky. It bloomed with dazzling 9-colored divine light, showing a chaotic color. It looked simple and mysterious, as if it was carved out of a mountain stone. Although it was not crafted, it had a suppressing and invincible aura. The Heavenly Emperor's seal had appeared. What? The purple-robed ancestor's body trembled. His eyes were filled with disbelief, and his face turned ashen. He did not expect that the Heavenly Punishment Saber would not only fail to destroy the 3 ancient seals, but instead become a catalyst for the 3 ancient seals. In an instant, the 3 seals merged into one and formed the complete Heavenly Emperor seal. Even the owner of the Heavenly Punishment Saber, the Thunder Emperor, was once a general under the Celestial Emperor. You want to use the Heavenly Punishment Saber to destroy the Celestial Emperor's seal? You are truly foolish, said Lu Bai with a faint smile. The purple-robed ancestor's face darkened. Boom! The heavenly emperor's seal spun and emitted dazzling rays of light, completely enveloping the sky. Endless chaotic light rose, as if it was going to split the heaven and earth, containing a vast and unparalleled power fluctuation. The heavenly emperor's seal enveloped Lu Bai, sprinkling dazzling rays of light, making Lu Bai look even more mysterious, as if the celestial emperor had come back to life. The terrifying aura of the heavenly emperor's seal made the surrounding human tribe experts tremble. Their faces were pale, but their eyes were filled with fanaticism. The heavenly emperor's seal represented the celestial emperor. When the crowd saw the heavenly emperor's seal, it was as if they had seen the celestial emperor. They could not help but kneel down and completely submit to the celestial emperor's seal. Lu Bai, don't be so arrogant. So what if you have the heavenly emperor's seal? The celestial emperor has passed away for countless years. Even if you have the heavenly emperor's seal, you can't stop so many of us, said the purple-robed ancestor, staring at Lu Bai. Is that so? As the first person to see the birth of the heavenly emperor's seal, you should be honored to see its true power, said Lu Bai indifferently. Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, the heavenly emperor's seal released a destructive energy fluctuation. The invincible aura seemed to be able to pierce through the galaxy. It was like a vast mountain, pressing down on the purple-robed ancestor. At this moment, Lu Bai felt that he had completely controlled the great Tao of heaven and earth around him. With the heavenly emperor's seal as a medium, he could freely mobilize the vast power of the entire divine world. The aura of the heavenly emperor's seal made the purple-robed ancestor's scalp tingle. His body could not help but tremble. This was the complete awakening of the extreme Tao emperor's seal, the most legendary heavenly emperor's seal. A completely awakened extreme Tao emperor's weapon was like a supreme celestial emperor descending. The monstrous power was not something that ordinary people could withstand. Even a sage king could not withstand it. The purple-robed ancestor gritted his teeth. His eyes were filled with incomparable madness. The terrifying divine power around him surged into the heavenly punishment saber, and he even spat out a mouthful of blood essence. The heavenly punishment saber trembled slightly. Similarly, it shone brightly in an instant, emitting boundless dazzling lightning as it charged towards the heavenly emperor's seal. Kacha! The sky shattered in an instant. Chaotic turbulence surged, and the firmament in all directions trembled violently. The heavenly punishment saber and the heavenly emperor's seal collided in the firmament, and an earth-shattering power erupted. It was like a great earthquake. However, the difference was that Lu Bai's aura was like a dragon. Every strike caused his aura to skyrocket. His fighting spirit surged as he charged towards the purple-robed ancestor. The purple-robed ancestor's body trembled with every strike. His face turned pale, and he felt his blood boil. The terrifying rebounding power from the heavenly punishment saber was something that he could not withstand. Puff! In the end, the heavenly punishment saber was directly knocked away by the heavenly emperor's seal. The purple-robed ancestor spat out a mouthful of blood, and his aura instantly weakened. Whoever dares to touch Ling Xiao will die, Lu Bai shouted. His voice was like a thunderclap that shook the 9 heavens. The dozen or so Saint Kings could not help but tremble slightly. Rumble! Lu Bai strode towards the Saint Kings. The heavenly emperor's seal floated above his head, providing him with endless power, causing his aura to become more and more terrifying. Ha ha ha! Lord War God, let us fight side by side today. I would like to see if these old things can do anything to us. Chapter 2352. Young martial uncle, your talent is heaven-defying, but so is your ability to cause trouble. However, for the sake of martial granduncle, I can't let these old guys hurt you. Lu Bai smiled faintly as he stood beside Ling Xiao. His expression was calm and there was no trace of fear on his face. The heroic aura that Ling Xiao and Lu Bai exuded seemed to have infected the people around them. Everyone's eyes were filled with amazement and excitement. People always sympathized with the weak. Although everyone thought that Ling Xiao and Lu Bai would definitely die today, seeing them fight with their backs to the wall and face over a dozen Saint Kings without batting an eyelid, they were inwardly impressed. You're courting death. So what if you have the Heavenly Emperor's seal? The supreme treasure left behind by the Heavenly Emperor shouldn't be in the hands of scum of the human race like you. Hand it over. The old ancestor of the Heavenly Curse sect sneered. The black scepter in his hand emitted a dazzling divine light that seemed to flicker. An ethereal and mysterious power filled the air. It contained an extremely strange curse power and silently spread towards Ling Xiao and Lu Bai. The cursing scepter of the Heavenly Curse sect. Kill. The old ancestor of the spacetime Heavenly sect looked indifferent. He held a treasure tree that emitted a seven-colored divine light in his hand. Mysterious runes appeared on the leaves on the tree, causing the surrounding void to tremble slightly. It was as though spacetime ripples were spreading out. The tree of seven wonders of the spacetime Heavenly sect. Rumble. The most terrifying scene was that of an elder from the Fane of Destiny. His hair and beard were all white. He wore a linen robe and stood barefoot. He looked like an immortal with an ethereal and mysterious temperament. However, at that moment, there was an ancient heavenly wheel in his hand. It slowly rotated, and endless chaotic light filled the air. It was as if an endless world had appeared, and the scene of all living things appeared. It was as if all living things were rotating along with that ancient heavenly wheel. This was the supreme emperor weapon of the Fane of Destiny, the Wheel of Destiny. As the Wheel of Destiny rotated, a vast and terrifying power of destiny erupted. It aimed at Ling Xiao and Lu Bai's fate, wanting to completely destroy their fate. The Curse Scepter, the Tree of Seven Wonders, and the Wheel of Destiny. Under the full power of the three Supreme Emperor weapons, the Saint Kings all looked at Ling Xiao and Lu Bai coldly. Murderous intent filled their bodies as they attacked Ling Xiao and Lu Bai. Rumble. Boundless wind and thunder surged around them, and vast great Tao laws rose. Each of their attacks had the power to destroy the world, especially the three extreme Tao Emperor weapons. The vast extreme Tao Emperor weapons completely enveloped Ling Xiao and Lu Bai, wanting to turn them into dust. Ling Xiao and Lu Bai went all out and unleashed their full strength. The textless heavenly book provided Ling Xiao with an endless amount of energy, and the 12 Heaven Arts secret technique, under the support of the textless heavenly book, exploded with an extremely powerful divine might. Ling Xiao took out the time compass while Lu Bai took out the Heavenly Emperor's seal. Both of them exuded an unparalleled battle intent as they engaged in an intense battle with the Saint Kings. At this moment, both of them had the combat strength of a Saint King. They were able to fight with the top sect masters in the world, and the scene was extremely terrifying. The Lingxiao mountain range was about to be destroyed by the aftermath of the battle. A battle between Saint Kings could easily destroy the world. They knew that their destructive power was extremely powerful, so they left the Lingxiao mountain range and came to the extraterritorial starry sky as soon as the battle began. Crack! A terrifying fist print landed and blasted a resplendent star into smithereens. Bang! The blazing blades swept out in all directions, and the shattered remains of the star vanished into thin air. The starry sky shook, and the world shook. Every attack of the Saint Kings had the power to destroy the world. The great Tao laws intertwined around them, and their Tao power was as vast as the sea. Divine light surged, and a peerless battle began. However, the crowd noticed that Ling Xiao and Lu Bai were slowly falling into a disadvantageous position. They were like candles in the wind, and it seemed like they would be defeated at any time. Are Ling Xiao and Lu Bai going to lose? The crowd couldn't help but tremble. Although they had expected this result, they still found it hard to accept when the outcome was about to be decided. The main reason was that Ling Xiao, the chosen one, had created too many miracles. They also wanted to see if Ling Xiao could create more miracles. However, they were afraid that this battle would disappoint them. After all, Ling Xiao was too young. Even if he relied on the power of the wordless heavenly book and time compass, he probably wouldn't be able to deal with so many Saint Kings. As I said, Ling Xiao and Lu Bai are definitely going to die. That's right. From today onwards, the War God Temple will be wiped out. The experts of the 9 imperial gates and the Chinese sneered. Their 2 forces had suffered heavy losses. Although the Saint King Old Ancestor had arrived, the 5 heavenly saints had all died in battle, and 8 of the 9 heavenly kings had also died. Although they had a deep foundation, they still couldn't bear the heavy losses. Therefore, they hated Ling Xiao to the core. Is the sect master not here yet? Shui Wei clenched her fist, and her knuckles were a little white. Her face was a little pale as she glanced at the old woman behind her and asked. Even the sect master can't do anything in this situation, right? Saintess, you don't have to do this for him. He's already dead. The old woman behind Shui Wei sighed softly. Shut up. Young master won't die. Shui Wei rudely interrupted the old woman's words and said seriously. It was as if she was talking to the old woman, but also to herself. These old things are too shameless. So many people besieging Brother Ling Xiao. Do they really not care about their faces? Feng Qingyang looked at the scene of the battle in front of him, and his face was incomparably ugly. If they cared about their faces, today's matter wouldn't have happened. Ling Xiao won't die. Jin Sei said lightly. Although her expression was still as cold as an iceberg, without the slightest fluctuation of emotions, her fingers were slightly trembling in a place that others couldn't detect. She wasn't as calm as she seemed. She was also worried. Junior sister Jin Sei, don't worry. Even the white-clothed war god has joined the battle. The sect master must have arrived as well. At this moment, he should be hiding in the dark, ready to help at any time. Feng Qingyang glanced at Jin Sei and comforted her. However, he also knew that his comfort was probably useless. Ling Xiao and Lu Bai were now facing more than a dozen Saint Kings. Divine light flashed across the starry sky, and extreme Dao Emperor weapons clashed. For such a battle, 1 or 2 more Saint Kings wouldn't affect the overall situation. Chapter 2353. Old man, are you not going to do anything? Brother Ling Xiao can't hold on for much longer. Yi Liangqin, who was in the void, started to get anxious. Let's wait a little longer. The slovenly old Taoist said nonchalantly. How much longer do we have to wait? If we wait any longer, I'm afraid Brother Ling Xiao is going to die. Those old fogies are despicable. Not only are they bullying us with numbers, they even brought out their extreme Dao Emperor weapons. Yi Liangqin said angrily. Let's wait for a chance to kill them all. The slovenly old Taoist said mysteriously. What? Capture them all in one go? Yi Liangqin was stunned. Initially, he only hoped that the old man could save Ling Xiao. He did not expect to kill those old fogies. After all, they were the old ancestors of the immortal sanctuary and supreme god tribe. Each of them had a high cultivation level and they were protected by their extreme Dao Emperor weapons. It would be a miracle if they could save Ling Xiao. Buzz! At this moment, a vast and mysterious fluctuation came from the void. It caused the entire realm of the gods to shake. Although it was slight, it was clearly heard by Yi Liangqin and the slovenly old Taoist. Here's my chance. Brat, didn't you want me to save Ling Xiao? Today, I'll show you the power of the ancient Zhou Tian star formation. The slovenly old Taoist's eyes lit up. Ancient Zhou Tian star formation. Yi Liangqin was instantly energized. Although he did not know what was going on, he knew that the old man's most powerful attack was the Zhou Tian star formation. The Zhou Tian star formation was the supreme god formation of the demon tribe. It connected with the power of the stars in Zhou Tian and borrowed the power of the billions of worlds to unleash a terrifying combat power. The Treistrimsa formation of creation was only a sealing formation. The Zhou Tian star formation was the true offensive formation. Rumble. The sloppy old Taoist exuded a vast aura and the insight acupoints all over his body seemed to have lit up. They shone with a resplendent light and the vast starry sky around them trembled slightly. The sky was filled with dazzling starlight. Among them, 365 of the brightest supreme stars lit up. Those supreme stars were incomparably distant, and they were also ancient worlds. At this moment, divine rainbows shot out and gathered on the sloppy old Taoist. The sloppy old man stood in the air. At this moment, all of his wretched aura disappeared. He became fierce, domineering, and dignified. Formation complete. The unkempt Taoist's ancient voice rang out. At that moment, 365 pillars of starlight fell from the sky, enveloping Ling Xiao, Lu Bai, and the saint rulers. Who is it? The expressions of the ancestors of the Destiny Hall, the purple-robed ancestor, and the space-time ancestor all changed. They stared at the unkempt old Taoist solemnly. Although they had always been on guard against someone secretly attacking them, they had never thought that they would still fall for it. After the sloppy old Taoist cast down the Zhou Tian star formation, he could no longer hide himself. He was directly exposed to everyone. Everyone, you're attacking Ling Xiao and Lu Bai with so many of you. You're really shameless. However, since you can break through my Treistrimsa formation of creation, why don't you try my Zhou Tian star formation? The sloppy old Taoist smiled. It's you. You deserve to die. Patriarch Purple Bamboo and Patriarch Purple Robe shuddered, and their eyes were filled with hatred. It was precisely because they had been trapped by the Treistrimsa formation of creation that the 8 heavenly kings and the 5 heaven supreme saints had died to Ling Xiao and Lu Bai. They could not save them in time, so they hated the sloppy old Taoist the most. Now that the sloppy old Taoist had appeared, they were about to go berserk. Who are you? Ling Xiao is a spy of the demons. Everyone has the right to kill him. Since you're an almighty human, you should protect the interests of the human race. Why are you helping the evildoers? The ancestor of the Fane of Destiny looked at the sloppy old Taoist cautiously. For some reason, he realized that he could not see through the old Taoist's cultivation. The old Taoist's aura was unfathomable, which made him feel uneasy. Helping the evildoers? Hee, I hate hypocrites like you the most. If you covet the treasures on Ling Xiao's body, you can just snatch them away. You just have to stand on the moral high ground and put on a hypocritical look. How disgusting. The old Taoist laughed disdainfully. Rumble. As soon as the old Taoist finished speaking, the stars in the sky shook. Dazzling starlight fell as if the endless world had been destroyed. It formed a supreme killing intent that enveloped the dozen saint kings. The old Taoist looked indifferent. Dazzling light rose from his palm. An ancient black banner appeared in the sky, giving off an ancient aura. Roar! The roar of a primordial beast resounded. Suddenly, the phantoms of primordial beasts appeared on the 365 supreme stars. They gave off an insufferably arrogant aura. The 365 supreme stars seemed to have been bestowed with spirituality. They became extremely vast, like 365 ancient worlds that were rotating. Oh no! It's the demon summoning banner. Let's get out of the formation. The ancestor of the Fane of Destiny's face changed instantly. He roared and spun the wheel of destiny, wanting to charge out of the Zhou Tian stellar formation. Although he knew that the Zhou Tian stellar formation was a supreme imperial formation, he had the wheel of destiny, an extreme Tao emperor weapon. Hence, he did not take the Zhou Tian stellar formation seriously. Now that the demon summoning banner had appeared, the Zhou Tian stellar formation seemed to have received some sort of boost. Vast extreme Tao emperor aura erupted, causing the ancestor of the Fane of Destiny's head to tingle. Let's go. After hearing the ancestor of the Fane of Destiny's words, all the saint rulers rose up without any hesitation. They all used their extreme Tao emperor weapons or supreme treasures in an attempt to break out of the Zhou Tian stellar formation. You want to leave? It's not that easy. Ling Xiao sneered, as if he was not surprised by the appearance of the old Taoist. A terrifying aura surged around him. The time compass spun in the air, as if it had spun the space. Vast time force descended, charging toward the saint rulers. Those who offend the war god Hall, die. Liu Bai's eyes flashed with murderous intent, and a strong fighting spirit burst out from his body. The heavenly emperor's seal soared into the sky, emitting a vast chaotic light. It was like an ancient mountain, and it came crashing down. Ling Xiao and Liu Bai did not show any signs of exhaustion. They both unleashed their greatest battle prowess, causing the expressions of the saint rulers to change drastically. Damn it! Chapter 2354. Rumble. Before the saint rulers could even resist, they felt several extremely powerful auras descend from the sky, causing the surrounding space to shake violently. An old man in gray robes, a dignified middle-aged man with a flat crown, and a beautiful middle-aged woman all radiated with vast auras as they attacked the saint rulers at the same time. Chaotic light rose around the old man in gray robes. Although he seemed extremely thin, his body contained terrifying power like a volcano. His fist was like a dragon that could destroy everything. The dignified middle-aged man radiated with a vast aura of reincarnation. He was like a king who walked through the cycle of life and death. The cycle of life and death turned into the 6 paths of reincarnation that crushed down on everyone. On the other hand, the middle-aged woman's face was cold. She radiated with extremely sharp sword intent as she slashed out with her sword. Vast sword chi swept through the space for billions of kilometers, as if it had split the starry sky in half. It possessed a supreme, transcendent state. Han Yuanzi, Nether Hall Master, Annihilation Path Master, what are you doing? Someone roared. His eyes were filled with disbelief. They recognized the 3 people before them. Han Yuanzi was a saint ruler of the Chaotic Heaven sect, Nether Hall Master was the sect master of the Samsara Temple, and Annihilation Path Master was the sect master of the Taishangdao Palace. The 3 of them were famous even in the god world and possessed extraordinary strength. The saint rulers had never thought that Han Yuanzi, Nether Hall Master, and Annihilation Path Master would actually help Ling Xiao. Boom! 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 The 3 of them attacked as fast as lightning, catching the saint rulers off guard. Coupled with the attacks and suppression from the Zhou Tian star formation, 3 of the saint rulers were immediately heavily injured by Han Yuanzi, Nether Hall Master, and Nether Hall Master. You bastards, how dare you attack Ling Xiao? He's the chosen one of our human race. You're courting death. Han Yuanzi said righteously. His eyes were filled with coldness. Surrender obediently. Otherwise, all of you will die here today. Nether Hall Master said nonchalantly. Bullying the weak, you deserve to die. The Extermination Dao Lord said coldly. The sword light in his eyes was extremely sharp, causing people to feel pain all over their bodies. It was as if the Extermination Dao Lord's sword was about to cut their bodies open. Rumble. The 3 Supreme Masters charged into Zhou Tian's Grand Astral Matrix. Their auras were like rainbows, and their attacks were like the collapse of the heavens and the earth. Every strike was capable of destroying the stars. Their strength was terrifying to the extreme. When Ling Xiao and Liu Bai saw the 3 Supreme Experts charging towards them, they gathered their spirits and charged towards the dozen saint ruler old ancestors at the same time. You want to reverse the situation with just the likes of you? The saint ruler of the Destiny Hall laughed out of anger. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Although they were extremely shocked by the appearance of Han Yuanzi and the other 2, they were not afraid at all. More than a dozen saint ruler ancestors and a few apex monarch weapons were enough to sweep through everything. The murderous intent in their hearts was stimulated, and they instantly erupted with the supreme combat power of Saint Kings, engaging in a fierce battle with Ling Xiao and the others. Crack! However, what they did not realize was that the Grand Astral Matrix of Zhou Tian seemed to have formed a domain of nothingness, isolating all the Great Path laws. It seemed to have formed a sealed space. Many saint ruler ancestors discovered that they could not communicate with the power of heaven and earth, and could not control the Great Path laws. Their strength began to weaken rapidly. On the other hand, Ling Xiao and Liu Bai became more and more courageous as the battle went on. Both of them were saints with their physical bodies, so they did not need to rely on the great path of heaven and earth. Their bodies had formed a small world of their own, and their terrifying strength seemed to be endless. In the endless galaxy, a group of saint ruler experts had started a shocking battle. The sect master has finally made his move. Brother Ling Xiao should be fine. Xue Wei breathed a sigh of relief and smiled softly to herself. Silly child, are you really going to marry the sect master's son? That's the happiness of your life. The old woman behind Xue Wei said helplessly and with heartache. As long as the young master is fine, I'm relieved. If the young master is fine, I won't have any regrets even if I have to marry the sect master's son. Xue Wei said with a smile. Her eyes were pure, beautiful, and filled with anticipation. It was heartbreaking. Ancestor Hunyuanzi, Nether Hall Master, and Extermination Path Master are actually helping Ling Xiao. Looks like this battle is going to be interesting. Everyone was incomparably astonished by the appearance of these three supreme experts. The three of them represented the chaotic heavenly sect, Samsara Temple, and Taishang Dao Palace respectively. No one could ignore the declaration of the three immortal sacred grounds. Everyone thought that the battle would have no suspense, but after the appearance of the slovenly Daoist and the three supreme experts, it became full of suspense. In the chaotic void that no one noticed, Zhao Ritian was riding a three-legged golden crow that was surrounded by endless flames. His eyes were filled with anticipation. In front of him, the entire God world seemed to be sealed by thousands of divine chains of order, completely isolating Ling Xiao and the others from the God world. Terrifying divine consciousnesses tried to break through the divine chains of order, but they were all blocked. Second uncle, I didn't expect the human race to have so many experts. Although there aren't any great emperors, there are still a few supreme emperors. If it wasn't for Senior Jiang Yuyang, I'm afraid they wouldn't be so obedient. Zhao Ritian sneered. That's right. After all, the human race is the master of this era. Over the countless years, there have been many old monsters who have ascended and broken through. However, they are just a bunch of cowards. Jiang Yuyang was your father's general. With him around, Ling Xiao shouldn't be in any danger. The second uncle sighed with emotion. If that's the case, can I make my move now? I've been annoyed with these old things for a long time. Zhao Ritian said eagerly. His entire body was exuding a vast and unparalleled sage aura. He had also become a sage. Be careful. Today, the immortal sacred grounds and supreme emperor tribes will be at a disadvantage. Second uncle smiled and did not stop Zhao Ritian. After becoming a sage, Zhao Ritian wielded the heavenly Dao Emperor sword and the Yen Emperor cauldron. His strength was so terrifying that even second uncle was looking forward to it. Hee, very good. Today, my hands will be stained with the blood of a sage king. Zhao Ritian grinned as a bright light shone from his palm. Gradually, an ancient longsword appeared, emitting a boundless light. Rumble. Chapter 2355. The heavenly Dao Emperor's sword radiated with boundless sword intent as it controlled the 3,000 great Daos and slashed down from the heavens. Zhao Ritian had made his move. However, he did not choose to attack the sage ruler old ancestors. Instead, he attacked the sage ruler old ancestor of the Destiny Shrine. Rays of sword light rained down like a waterfall as he tried to kill the old ancestor of the Destiny Shrine. Rumble. The Yen Emperor cauldron floated above Zhao Ritian's head as if there were billions of brilliant suns floating within it. It provided Zhao Ritian with boundless energy as if it could burn down the heavens and earth. Who are you? The old ancestor of the Destiny Shrine was shocked as his eyes were filled with seriousness. Ling Xiao, Lu Bai, the three supreme experts, and the sloppy old man were already troublesome to deal with. Who would have thought that Zhao Ritian would appear now? Most importantly, Zhao Ritian had two extreme Dao Emperor weapons. Whether it was the heavenly Dao Emperor sword or the Yen Emperor cauldron, they were enough to make the old ancestor of the Destiny Shrine fearful. I'm Di Hao. Zhao Ritian said calmly as the heavenly Dao Emperor sword slashed down. Rumble. The wheel of destiny spun continuously as the mysterious aura of destiny flowed and destroyed the rays of sword light. However, the heavenly Tao Emperor sword was extremely sharp as it broke through the obstruction of the aura of destiny and slashed the wheel of destiny with a thunderous sound. Di Hao! How dare you impersonate the son of the heavenly emperor? The eyes of the Fane of Destiny's old ancestor flashed as he pointed at Zhao Ritian and shouted angrily. Perhaps ordinary people did not know the real name of the heavenly emperor, but the sage ruler old ancestors of the immortal sacred ground knew the name of the heavenly emperor. The name Di Hao was extremely noble and only the son of the heavenly emperor could use it. However, Zhao Ritian was clearly not the heavenly emperor that he knew. Impersonating the son of the heavenly emperor? Old man, are your eyes blind? Look at who I am. Zhao Ritian sneered. Rumble. Boundless qi and blood rose from his body as if they were made of gold. They shot straight into the 9 heavens, causing the surrounding starry sky to shake violently. A vast and mysterious figure appeared behind Zhao Ritian. His head was above the sky, and his feet were in the starry sky. He suppressed the myriad of worlds and was invincible. Many people couldn't help but tremble when they saw that figure. Their eyes were filled with incomparable shock. This is the Celestial Emperor's real body. The Heavenly Emperor was the head of the 9 emperors of the human race. Naturally, there were many statues of the Heavenly Emperor in the divine realm. Therefore, many people could instantly recognize that the figure behind Zhao Ritian was the Heavenly Emperor's real body. And to be able to condense the Celestial Emperor true body, one must possess the Celestial Emperor's bloodline. Then, Zhao Ritian's identity would be revealed. The son of the Celestial Emperor. Impossible. How could you be? The ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall, Zizhu, and the purple-robed ancestor were all shocked. They could not help but cry out in disbelief. How could Zhao Ritian be the son of heaven? Then who was the Tianzi that was rumored to have died in Ling Zhao's hands? I am Di Hao, the son of the heavenly emperor. The previous Tianzi's name was Di Yuan. He pretended to be me and deceived people. I have already killed him in the chaotic ancient land. This old man is a remnant of the demon race. Now, he wants to kill the heaven's chosen son of the human race. He is truly vicious and unforgivable. Everyone has the right to kill him. Zhao Ritian rose into the sky and pointed at the ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall as he spoke loudly to the crowd. What? This is the real Tianzi. Who would have thought that the previous Tianzi was a fake? No wonder I felt that he was arrogant and despotic. So he was a fake. The ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall is a remnant of the demon race? How? How is this possible? Zhao Ritian's words instantly caused an uproar. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. The saint ruler of the Destiny Divine Hall's expression changed. His eyes were extremely ugly. He was so angered by Zhao Ritian that he almost vomited blood. Everyone, don't listen to his nonsense. He's not the real Tianzi. I think he's the remnant of the demon race. The saint ruler of the Destiny Divine Hall roared. However, his words were not very convincing. Zhao Ritian's Heavenly Emperor bloodline and Heavenly Emperor real body proved that he was the true descendant of the Heavenly Emperor. The Tianzi's words were indescribably convincing to the crowd. They were originally unhappy with the immortal sanctuaries and Supreme Emperor tribes surrounding Ling Shao. At this moment, they were enlightened and their eyes were filled with vigilance. It turned out that the ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall was a remnant of the demon race. No wonder he wanted to kill Ling Shao. Rumble. As if to prove Zhao Ritian's words, after the Heavenly Emperor's sword appeared, the Heavenly Emperor's seal seemed to have formed a strange connection with the Heavenly Emperor's sword. In an instant, it shook violently. Like an ancient mountain, it pressed down on the wheel of destiny. Under the suppression of the 2 Supreme Emperor weapons, the Wheel of Destiny was unable to escape even though it was extremely mysterious. Die, old man. Zhao Ritian sneered as he charged towards the ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall. The flames in his palm burned fiercely and exuded a vast emperor's aura. It was the flame of Emperor Yan. It could burn anything. Even a Saint King realm expert would find it difficult to resist. Ling Xiao also saw the opportunity. His eyes flashed and terrifying divine power erupted from his body. He threw a punch at the ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall. At the same time, the time compass shone brightly and rotated slowly in the void. Vaguely, a vast and mysterious river appeared. Time and space began to distort. Freeze! Ling Xiao roared. The vast river of time pressed down. Under the control of the time compass, it wrapped around the ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall. The time-stop territory was activated again. You're courting death. The ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall roared. Although he was suppressed by the power of time of the time compass and was frozen in the void for a moment, he regained his freedom in an instant. Ling Xiao spat out a mouthful of blood. It was as if he had suffered a great backlash. His aura became extremely weak. After all, he was only a saint while the ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall was a Saint King. Even if he had the time compass, he still suffered a great backlash when the time-stop territory was broken. Rumble. Ling Xiao's eyes became brighter and brighter. The battle intent around him rose. A huge fist print seemed to be able to shatter the heavens and earth. The moment the ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall was frozen, the fist landed on his chest. Chapter 2356. Puff. The Fane of Destiny's patriarch's face turned pale as his chest caved in. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Even though he was a Saint King, Ling Xiao's physical body had reached the Saint Realm, and he had reached the Four Saint Realm. His strength was terrifying, but in terms of physical strength, even the Fortune Shrine's old ancestor couldn't compare to him. Ling Xiao's fist penetrated the Patriarch of Destiny's patriarch's body and broke his meridians. The fire of Emperor Yan took the opportunity to invade his body and roast his flesh. It even tried to spread to his primordial spirit. Get lost! The old ancestor of the Fane of Destiny trembled violently as he roared. His saint's aura exploded like a raging storm, trying to sweep Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian out of the way. Whoosh! At the same time, a dazzling pillar of starlight descended from the sky. It contained a boundless and unfathomable godly might. It pierced through the ancestor's heavenly court meridian and violently invaded his sea of consciousness. A terrifying murderous aura erupted. It was the power of the seven merciless stars. It contained the power of the Tao of slaughter. The Patriarch of Destiny's primordial spirit was invaded by the murderous aura and instantly became dizzy. Devour! Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He knew that the slovenly old man's Zhou Tian's star formation had taken effect. He took the opportunity to activate the wordless heavenly book and the sky-devouring secret skill. He turned his fist into a claw and grabbed the Patriarch of Destiny's primordial spirit. He then started to devour the Patriarch of Destiny's primordial spirit. The heart was the source of life. Although the Patriarch of Destiny's primordial spirit was a Saint King and had a vast amount of primordial spirit, half of it was gone in an instant under Ling Xiao's crazy devouring. Ling Xiao did not refine it at all. He directly integrated the primordial spirit into the wordless heavenly book. The wordless heavenly book was also excited as it started to devour the Patriarch of Destiny's primordial spirit. Boom! Zhao Ritian seemed to have a telepathic connection with Ling Xiao. The flame of Emperor Yan burned fiercely in his palm as he slapped the ancestor's forehead. The vast flame of Emperor Yan began to invade the ancestor's sea of consciousness, attempting to burn his soul to ashes. No one had expected that the powerful and unfathomable Patriarch of the Fane of Fortune would be reduced to such a state in an instant. Although they had the help of the extreme Dao monarch weapon, the sloppy old Daoists Zhou Tian's stellar formation, and Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian who had seized the opportunity, everyone was still amazed by Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian's strength. All of you must die. All of you must die. The ancestor of the Fane of Destiny was furious. He roared in a hoarse voice. He was a saint ruler of the Destiny Divine Hall, an expert who stood at the very apex of the god world. His strength was unfathomable, and he controlled the lives and deaths of billions. He was furious that he had been humiliated like this today. Moreover, the wordless heavenly book was devouring his life force without restraint. He could not escape from it at all. He could even feel the threat of death. Boom! A terrifying aura rose around the ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall. His flesh and blood exploded. Strands of black demonic light rose up and swept across the area like a black storm. The storm was extremely terrifying. It contained the purest law of the Great Path. Even Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian could not resist it. They were sent flying. The ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall shot up into the sky. Terrifying demonic light rose from his body. His hair was disheveled, and his eyes had turned scarlet. They were filled with cruelty and killing intent. Everyone was stunned. Demon remnant. He really is a demon remnant, someone exclaimed, his voice trembling violently. No one had expected the saint ruler of the Destiny Divine Hall to have been attacked by the demon remnant and become a demon remnant. The emperor did not lie to them. Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian looked at each other and smiled faintly. They had achieved their goal. They did not expect to kill the ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall. After all, he was a saint ruler. He had many tricks up his sleeves. It was easy to defeat him, but impossible to kill him. However, as long as he exposed his identity as a demon remnant, it would be enough. This old man is a demon remnant. I suspect that these old men are also demon remnant. Why would the Almighty of the human race harm the chosen one of the human race? I think they must have sided with the demon remnant. They want to kill the peerless genius of the human race and destroy the foundation of the human race. Zhao Ritian chuckled coldly. His voice was clearly heard by everyone. Jiang Yuyang was the one who told him that the ancestor of the Destiny Divine Hall was a demon remnant. As for whether the others were demon remnant, it was hard to say. However, Zhao Ritian did not care. He pushed all of them to side with the demon remnant. You're spouting nonsense. How can we be demon remnant? Don't slander us. I think you're the one who's a demon remnant. What nonsense are you talking about? The saint rulers' faces changed. Especially when they saw the hatred and disgust in the eyes of the people around them. They had a bad feeling about this. Swoosh. 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 At this moment, the Wheel of Destiny, the capital Heaven Divine Fiend flag, the Tree of Seven Wonders, and the other Extreme Tao Emperor weapons buzzed. A cold voice was heard from them and they flew away. All-Seer is a demon remnant. Everyone has the right to kill him. Purple Bamboo is expelled from the Chinese race. Purple Robe is expelled from the 9 imperial gates. As the voices were heard, the saint rulers of the Destiny Divine Hall, Purple Bamboo, and Purple Robe were shocked. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. These immortal sanctuaries and Supreme Emperor tribes had chosen to take back their Extreme Tao Emperor weapons and abandon them. Perhaps not all of the saint rulers were demon remnant. However, those who were hiding in the dark knew that their plan had failed. They had chosen to abandon the pawn to protect the cart. Without the Extreme Tao Emperor weapons, even the sage ruler old ancestors had no chance of surviving against the Cosmic Cycle Stellar Array, the Chrono Compass, the Yen Emperor's Cauldron, the Heavenly Emperor's Seal, and the Heavenly Emperor's Sword. Kill! Ling Xiao shouted. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He took the lead and charged towards the saint rulers. Zhao Ritian, Lu Bai, Han Yuanzi, Nether Hall's Master, and Extermination Path Master all charged forward at the same time. They took out their powerful Extreme Tao Emperor weapons and began a crushing battle under the suppression of the Zhou Tian Stellar Formation. Ah! Ling Xiao, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. I can't accept this. I can't accept this. I'm not a demon remnant. Sect Master, save me, although the saint rulers were usually high and mighty, they were filled with fear and unwillingness when faced with the threat of death. After all, the longer one lived, the more afraid they were of death. They did not expect the situation to turn around so quickly. Chapter 2357. More than a dozen saint kings had died in Zhou Tian's great star formation. This was a huge matter that could shake the entire god world. After all, every saint king old ancestor was a supreme expert that could control the fortune of an immortal holy land. Even if an immortal holy land wanted to cultivate a saint king old ancestor, it was not so easy. But today, because they wanted to kill Ling Xiao, they were all buried in the vast starry sky. What was even more shocking was that other than the Fane of Destiny's ancestor All-Seer, the Purple Bamboo ancestor and the Purple Robe ancestor were also demon remnants. Who would have thought that All-Seer, Purple Bamboo ancestor, and the Purple Robe ancestor were all spies of the demon clan? This is too shocking. That's right. Those are supreme experts of the Saint King realm. If such people are demon remnants, it can be seen that the demon clan has infiltrated the human clan deeply. It's chilling just thinking about it. This is also a blessing in disguise. No wonder the immortal saint lands chose to sacrifice these saint kings. Even the immortal saint lands and the supreme god clan would not be able to stand it and would be attacked together. Looks like Ling Xiao's calamity is over. Everyone discussed animatedly, not concealing the shock in their eyes. This time, the many immortal holy lands had gone through many twists and turns to hunt Ling Xiao down. Ever since Huang Tai, the 5 heavens great sage, the 8 heavenly kings, and the others had died one after another at the hands of Ling Xiao and Lu Bai, everyone realized just how monstrous this heaven's chosen one was. Naturally, many people were extremely excited, thinking that the more extraordinary Ling Xiao's talent was, the more fortunate it was for the human clan. However, there were also many people who were jealous of Ling Xiao and were even afraid of Ling Xiao's rise. They could not wait for someone to tear Ling Xiao into pieces, but in the end, they were greatly disappointed. Rumble. The stars in the sky shook, and the vast great Tao Law trembled. Even the bright light of the great Tao shone down, illuminating the lonely starry sky. The Saint King realm was already standing at the peak of the Saint realm. They could comprehend the will of the heavens and control the great Tao. Their power was unparalleled, and their body was condensed with vast Tao intent. And their death was equivalent to the Tao intent returning to the heavens and earth, causing the great Tao of the heavens and earth to react strongly, forming all kinds of mysterious phenomena. Not to mention that a dozen Saint Kings had died at the same time. This was definitely the first time in a million years that so many Saint Kings had died in battle. Millions of miles away from where the Saint Kings died, an old Saint King realm. He was enveloped in a boundless demonic light, emitting a dense dark aura of darkness. At this moment, his eyes were filled with reverence. Standing in front of him was a little girl dressed in red. She looked like she was carved out of jade and was as cute as a porcelain doll. Her entire body was emitting a bright light, like a glass crystal. However, the red-clothed little girl's expression was calm. She had an air of superiority about her, and her eyes were filled with indifference as if she viewed all living beings as ants. What a piece of trash! Saint Kings to heaven to kill Ling heaven Saint heavens God heaven then heavens, heaven, he. The red-clothed little girl spoke in a clear and pleasant voice, but it was filled with endless coldness in the black-robed old man's ears, causing him to involuntarily shiver. Heavens heavenly heavens to heaven. They didn't expect Heavenly Master Sloppy and Heavenly Master Jade Sun to take action. Ling Heavenly Master's luck is too strong. Heavenly Master Jade Sun said bitterly. Sloppy Taoist and Jiang Yang. They ruined my Saint Clan's plans. I'll kill those 2 old things sooner or later. But the most important thing now is to kill Ling Heavenly Book. We must take it back. Do you know what to do? Heavenly Master Jade Sun said hatefully. Don't worry, Heavenly Master. I've already made the arrangements. Ling Heavenly Master won't be able to escape this time. He belongs to Heavenly Master Jade Sun, and so does the Heavenly Book. Heavenly Master Jade Sun said seriously. Good. I hope you won't disappoint me. Heavenly Master Jade Sun said indifferently. Then, she slowly disappeared into the void. Ling Heavenly Master Jade Sun's eyes revealed a trace of darkness. In an instant, he took a step forward and traveled millions of miles in the blink of an eye, moving in the direction of the God Realm. Rumble. Ling Heavenly Master Jade Sun sat cross-legged in the starry sky. His entire body was emitting multicolored light. His aura was gradually increasing. Vast and majestic life energy was being emitted, causing an ancient world of life to appear around him. After killing more than 10 Saint Kings, Ling Heavenly Master Jade Sun did not hesitate to use the Heavenly Book and use the Heavenly Devouring secret skill to devour the life energy and flesh energy of the Saint Kings. Although most of the energy had been refined by the Heavenly Book, the portion that was devoured by Ling Heavenly Master Jade Sun still contained an incomparably vast amount of energy. Ling Heavenly Master Jade Sun was about to explode. Therefore, Ling Heavenly Master Jade Sun did not have time to say anything. He immediately sat cross-legged in the starry sky and began to refine the energy. Lu Bai, Zhao Ritian, and the rest heaved a sigh of relief when all the Saint Kings were killed. Their eyes were filled with the joy of surviving a calamity. Zhao Ritian could also sense that the sloppy Taoist and senior Jiang Yuyang had already left. It was already extremely difficult for the two of them to help Ling Heavenly Master Jade Sun. Those bastards are really lucky. Especially the Destiny Shrine, the Chinese, and the 9 Imperial Gates. They actually drew a clear line with them at the last moment. Zhao Ritian said hatefully. Old Ancestor All-Seer, Old Ancestor Purple Bamboo, and Old Ancestor Purple Robe were all remnants of the demon race. Naturally, the 3 Holy Lands and Emperor clans would not be able to get away with it. However, they were very cunning. They directly took away the Extreme Tao Emperor weapon and drew a clear line with Old Ancestor All-Seer and the other 2. At this moment, Zhao Ritian felt as though he had suffered a loss. Otherwise, with Zhao Ritian's identity as the Emperor, he could summon the entire human race in the divine world. At that time, even the Destiny Shrine, the Chinese, and the 9 Imperial Gates would not be able to get away with it. Of course, their debts will be settled one by one. Your Highness, I'll have to trouble you to protect Ling Heavenly Master Jade Sun. Some of the rascals have already approached this place. I'm afraid they are also coveting the Heavenly Book on Ling Heavenly Master Jade Sun. Lu Bai's eyes flashed as he said slowly to Zhao Ritian. Are they experts from the other great worlds? They really don't know what's good for them. White-clothed war god, it's better that you protect Ling Heavenly Master Jade Sun. Let me go and kill those bastards. Zhao Ritian said with some eagerness. His senses were extremely sharp. Naturally, he could sense that there were many powerful auras in this vast starry sky. However, he did not immediately take action. It was obvious that he was wary of them. Leave Ling Heavenly Master Jade Sun to me. Suddenly, a calm voice rang out. Lu Bai and Zhao Ritian could not help but be stunned. Chapter 2358. Lu Bai and Zhao Ritian were surprised as they did not expect Jin Se to come. Naturally, they knew about the unusual relationship between Ling Xiao and Jin Se. However, they also knew that Jin Se had lost her memory of Ling Xiao as she cultivated the Tao of Great Oblivion. If that's the case, I'll leave Ling Xiao to you. Take good care of him and I'll kill those bastards who don't know what's good for them. Zhao Ritian chuckled at Jin Se. He was happy to see this and hoped that Ling Xiao and Jin Se could be together as soon as possible. Although Lu Bai was a little hesitant, he nodded and said, if that's the case, I'll have to trouble Saintess Jin Se. Swoosh! Swoosh! Zhao Ritian and Lu Bai leaped into the sky and teleported into the distant starry sky. Rumble! The sky shook as stars exploded one after another. Dozens of figures with powerful auras rushed out from the explosion. After being discovered by Lu Bai and Zhao Ritian, they no longer hid themselves and attacked the two of them one after another. You're courting death. Hun Yuanzi, the Nether Hall Master, and the Extermination Path Master's eyes turned cold. These experts from other worlds coveted the wordless heavenly book on Ling Xiao and did not hesitate to kill their way into the divine world. To them, this was an unbearable provocation. The three supreme experts also leaped into the sky and charged towards those people. Comparatively speaking, Ling Xiao, who was heavily protected by Jin Sei and the experts from the human race, was the safest. After all, no one dared to attack Ling Xiao after the previous battle. Sister Jin Sei. Shui Wei also came to Ling Xiao's side quietly. When she saw Jin Sei, her face was filled with shyness as she bowed to Jin Sei. "You're welcome. Since you're here, I'm sure you want to protect Ling Xiao. Be careful of the surroundings and don't let anyone get close." Jin Sei said to Shui Wei. "Yes." Shui Wei nodded seriously. In fact, even if Jin Sei did not say anything, she would not let anyone get close to Ling Xiao. Rumble. Shui Wei radiated with the presence of samsara, enveloping Ling Xiao. Layers of space-time intertwined, causing Ling Xiao's figure to twist. It was impossible to find his true body. Jin Sei's eyes flashed with surprise. She had never expected Jin Sei's avatar of reincarnation to be so powerful. She had already comprehended the grand Tao of reincarnation to such a level. Jin Sei and Shui Wei stood on either side of Ling Xiao, protecting him in the middle. They guarded their surroundings, not allowing anyone to get close to him. As for Lu Bai, Zhao Ritian, the three utmost powerful beings, and the others, they charged out in all directions and clashed with those who were spying on soaring sky. However, as if the battle was too shocking, the surrounding experts who were eyeing Ling Xiao did not fight to the death. Instead, they retreated and fought at the same time. Unknowingly, Zhao Ritian, Lu Bai and the others were lured away. All of a sudden, Jin Sei's eyes flashed with a strange look. Her expression became extremely cold as a vast demonic aura emanated from her body. In an instant, lightning intertwined and the void shook. A vast vortex appeared behind Jin Sei. It was like a passageway between two worlds, trying to swallow Ling Xiao. What? Although Zhao Ritian and Lu Bai were fighting with the experts from the outside world, they still left a trace of their consciousness on Ling Xiao. At this moment, they could not help but tremble as their eyes were filled with disbelief. Logically speaking, Jin Sei was the person who was least likely to hurt Ling Xiao. However, it was Jin Sei who had attacked Ling Xiao. "Jin Sei, what are you doing?" Zhao Ritian shouted. The heavenly Tao Emperor sword was like a stream of light. In an instant, it traversed through the void, trying to destroy the passageway behind Jin Sei. He could feel the vast demonic aura in the passageway. It was the passageway to the devil world. He did not know what method Jin Sei had used to open it silently. Once Ling Xiao was swallowed, the consequences would be unimaginable. "Sister Jin Sei, let go of young master." Shui Wei was the first to react. Boundless light of reincarnation rose around her. Instantly, she wanted to sweep Ling Xiao up and leave this place. Boom! However, a black figure appeared behind Shui Wei and gently struck out with his palm. Kacha! The void shook and the reincarnation enchantment on Shui Wei's body shattered. She flew out abruptly and spat out a mouthful of blood. It was an old man in a black robe. He looked hale and hearty and his eyes were deep. He struck out with his palm and a red lotus seemed to float out from his palm. It blocked the heavenly Tao Emperor sword. Clang! The sound of metal clashing could be heard and sparks flew. The heavenly Tao Emperor sword was extremely sharp but it was unable to break through the red lotus and was blocked. "You are Taiyuan?" When Tao Lord Extermination saw the old man in a black robe, he could not help but tremble. His voice was filled with killing intent and his eyes were extremely sharp. "Junior Sister Extermination, I haven't seen you for 1,000,000 years and you have already advanced to the King Sage realm. Congratulations. However, I want to take Ling Xiao away today and none of you can stop me." The old man in a black robe smiled faintly and his expression was extremely calm. Rumble. He exuded a vast aura and his attacks were extremely sharp. It was as though he could destroy everything. He blocked all the attacks around him and no one could get close to him. Taiyuan, you traitor! Tao Lord Extermination's body was trembling and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Everyone shuddered at the mention of Taiyuan's name. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. It was actually him. Taiyuan was a disciple of the Taishang Dao Palace. 1,000,000 years ago, he and Tao Lord Extermination were known as the Taishang Duo. Taiyuan was also the person who was most likely to become the next Taishang Dao master. However, 1,000,000 years ago, Taiyuan went berserk while cultivating the Taishang Unruffled Dao. He did not hesitate to betray the Taishang Dao Palace and became a demon remnant. He killed many experts of the Taishang Dao Palace. It was said that the previous Taishang Dao Palace's praying master, Taiyuan, and Tao Lord Extermination's master, died at Taiyuan's hands. No one had expected Taiyuan to show up here. Junior sister Tao Lord Extermination, all of you have gone astray. You don't understand the true meaning of the Taishang Unruffled Dao Master. In the future, only Jin Sei and I have hope of reviving the Taishang Dao Palace. Don't waste your energy. The passage opened by the Taishang Dao Master is not something you can break. Taiyuan shook his head. His expression was calm and even had a compassionate aura. He did not care that Tao Lord Extermination's eyes were about to spit fire. Rumble. Jin Sei's eyes had turned pure black and exuded a strange fluctuation. She opened the passage to the demonic realm and an unparalleled and vast emperor's aura descended. Vaguely, everyone saw a little girl in red. She rolled up her sleeves and swept Ling Xiao, Jin Sei, and Taiyuan into the passage to the demonic realm and disappeared completely. How could it be her? Lu Bai trembled and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Chapter 2359. Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires. Lu Bai instantly recognized the little girl in red. It wasn't just Lu Bai, even the Extermination Dailord's eyes were filled with shock. The Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires was the sect master of the 7 Emotions and 6 Desires sect. The 7 Emotions and 6 Desires demonic sect was the exact opposite of the Taishang Dao Palace. The Taishang Dao Palace pursued the Taishang Dao Palace's pursuit of the Taishang Dao Palace's Taishang Dao Palace's pursuit of the Taishang Dao. It reflected the heart of the heavens and was neither pleased by material gains nor saddened by personal losses. This was the only way to better harmonize with the great Dao and comprehend the heavenly Dao. On the other hand, the 7 Emotions and 6 Desires demonic sect believed that one should follow one's heart and use the boundless secular world to refine one's heart and experience the Tao of the 7 Emotions and 6 Desires. From there, one could comprehend the heavenly Tao. Therefore, they acted without any scruples and did as they pleased. It was just that the 7 Emotions and 6 Desires sect had been too presumptuous in their actions, which led to the encirclement of many sacred grounds and sects in the realm of the gods. Of course, the Taishang Dao Palace was one of the main forces among them. In the end, the 7 Emotions and 6 Desires sect was uprooted. In the entire 7 Emotions and 6 Desires sect, only the daughter of the sect leader managed to escape with her life. Later, the clan of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires of the celestial realm disappeared, and the demon realm gained a heavenly lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires. He loved to seduce the disciples of the Taishang Palace and make them step into the path of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires, destroying their path hearts, and finally killing them. Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires had also become the leader of the remnants of the devil clan in the human clan. He had gathered countless experts under his command and could even be called an overlord in the devil realm. Lu Bai and Extermination Dao Lord hadn't expected Taiyuan to collude with Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires. Damn it! It must be that old thing Taiyuan who helped Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires control Jins. That's why he kidnapped Ling Xiao. If anything happens to Jins, I won't let him off. The Extermination Dailord's eyes revealed a trace of killing intent. She was extremely worried. Jin Sei had the Taishang body of the Great Path and was extremely talented. She had long seen her as the hope of the Taishang Palace, but she did not expect Jin Sei to be controlled by Lord 7 Emotions and 6 Desires. Miju Dao Master's heart was filled with worry and anger when he thought about the whereabouts of the disciples of the Taisheng Dao Palace. Heavenly Lord of 7 emotions and 6 desires hasn't made a move for hundreds of thousands of years. This time, I'm afraid that the immortal world will be thrown into chaos. No matter what, Ling Xiao must not fall into the hands of the devil world. Lu Bai's eyes flashed with a sharp light. Rumble. The celestial emperor's seal in his palm broke through the void, exuding a peerless sharpness. Lu Bai took a step forward and instantly entered the void passage, disappearing under the starry sky. He actually wanted to kill his way into the divine world alone to rescue Ling Xiao. What are you guys still standing there for? Why aren't you saving him? If the wordless heavenly book falls into the hands of the devil race, do you think the God realm can still stop the devil emperor? Zhao Ritian sneered. He glanced at Hun Yuanzi, the Nether Hall Master, and the Extermination Path Master before he followed closely behind Lu Bai. He broke through the void with the Heavenly Way Emperor's sword and chased after them. The expressions of Hun Yuanzi, the Nether Hall Master, and the Dao Lord of Extermination could not help but change. They had obviously helped Ling Xiao because they had ulterior motives. They did not truly want to help Ling Xiao, or they would not have waited until the very end. Zhao Ritian's words also reminded them that no matter what, the wordless heavenly book must not fall into the hands of the demon race. Otherwise, the divine realm would really be in danger. Quickly send this news back to the deity realm and inform the Lord Monarchs. Let's go. No matter what, we must delay Lord's 7 emotions and 6 desires. Hun Yuanzi quickly said to the crowd. He then looked at the Nether Hall Master and the Extermination Path Master before they broke through the void and chased after Ling Xiao. Although there were no great emperors in the human race, there were still a few great emperors who suppressed the divine world. They were usually elusive and focused on comprehending the heavenly way in order to enter the supreme great emperor realm. But now, they had no choice but to alert them. Ling Xiao did not expect that Jin Sei would attack him. Although he was cultivating and devouring the flesh and primordial spirits of many sage kings, he was also paying attention to his surroundings and was extremely vigilant. However, he naturally did not take any precautions against Jin Sei and Xue Wei. Rather than saying that Ling Xiao was careless, it was more accurate to say that he trusted Jin Sei and Xue Wei too much. After all, if he did not trust Jin Sei and Xue Wei, who else could he trust? There was no trace of Jin Sei's attack. First, she used the red dust boundary left behind by Lord's 7 emotions and 6 desires to imprison him. Then, she opened the passage to the demonic world. The red dust boundary was a supreme superpower that Lord's 7 emotions and 6 desires had comprehended when he cultivated his heart in the boundless secular world. It was invisible and intangible and directly affected the primordial spirit and heart force. Even if Ling Xiao had the wordless heavenly book and time compass, he could not break it in a short time. However, Ling Xiao did not panic at all. Although he had already entered the passage to the demonic world, he still activated the wordless heavenly book to devour the power of the red dust boundary. Miss Jin Sei, you have done a great service this time. The Supreme One will definitely reward you handsomely. Taiyuan said to Jin Sei with a smile in the passage. Jin Sei does not need a reward for serving the Supreme One. Jin Sei said indifferently. Her body exuded a strange demonic aura that exuded all kinds of emotions and desires. It made one uneasy. Even Taiyuan did not dare to get too close to Jin Sei. At this moment, Jin Sei felt extremely unfamiliar to Ling Xiao. Although Jin Sei had lost her memories, she exuded an ethereal aura. That was the aura of someone who had cultivated the most supreme Tao scripture and comprehended the path of the great oblivion. But now, Jin Sei exuded all kinds of emotions and desires. It was as if all the joy, anger, sorrow, and joy of the world could be found on her body. This Jin Sei no longer exuded an ethereal aura. Instead, she seemed like a mortal woman. That's not right. This is the aura of the 7 emotions and 6 desires. Why does Jin Sei have the aura of the 7 emotions and 6 desires? Even if the path of the great oblivion was cultivated to the extreme and reached the path of the most supreme emotions, it would not be like this. Could she really be controlled by that supreme one? Ling Xiao's heart sank slightly. He was very worried about Jin Sei's current state. Although Jin Sei was the cause of his current situation, he did not blame her at all. This was not Jin Sei's original intention. She was being used and controlled by someone else. The red dust boundary was incomparably powerful. Even the wordless heavenly book could not break it quickly. However, Ling Xiao used the sky-devouring secret technique to devour the red dust boundary's power and quickly dissolved it. Rumble. Ling Xiao exuded a terrifying aura that caused the sky to tremble violently. The wordless heavenly book floated above his head, sprinkling a brilliant and mysterious light. Chapter 2360. Crack. Even though the demonic realm's passageway was extremely sturdy, it was still shattered by the collision of the time compass, an extreme Tao Emperor weapon. What? Taiyuan's eyes flashed. He didn't expect Ling Xiao to break the boundary of the mortal world so quickly and break the demonic world passage. The demonic world passage was broken, revealing a vast and dazzling starry sky. In front of Ling Xiao was an ancient and vast world. It was like a huge ball in the middle of chaos, swallowing and spitting out vast amounts of chaotic energy. It was getting more and more boundless and vast. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. He immediately understood that the world in front of him was the demonic world. Although he broke the demonic world passage and didn't enter the demonic world directly, he still came to the edge of the demonic world. Jin Sei, do you remember who I am? Are you being controlled by the demonic race? Ling Xiao looked at Jin Sei and asked anxiously. He didn't care about Taiyuan at all. Although Taiyuan was a saint ruler expert, he had the wordless heavenly book and the time compass to protect him. Ling Xiao didn't take Taiyuan seriously. He was anxious to know what had happened to Jin Sei. Of course she knows who you are, Ling Xiao. But she's my disciple now. Everything she does is naturally loyal to me. A crisp voice rang out in the void. Ling Xiao abruptly raised his head and saw resplendent starlight converging in the distance. It was overflowing with light and color, gorgeous and dazzling. A little girl dressed in red slowly walked over from the depths of the starry sky. She looked like she was carved from jade, ethereal and mysterious. However, her body exuded endless emotions and desires. It even turned into a physical world. Countless creatures worshipped her and manifested all kinds of scenes. Although she looked like a little girl, her expression was indifferent and she had a peerless aura that looked down on the world. Greetings, Supreme One. Greetings, Supreme One. Jin Sei and Taiyuan bowed respectfully when they saw the little girl in red. Who are you? Are you the one who controlled Jin Sei? Ling Xiao's eyes were as sharp as blades as he glanced at the little girl in red walking toward him. For some reason, Ling Xiao felt a lethal threat from the girl. It was thousands of times more powerful than a saint ruler like Taiyuan. His heart was instantly on high alert. I am Celestial Lord of 7 emotions and 6 desires. I didn't control Jin Sei, I only imparted the Tao of 7 emotions and 6 desires to her. Why would a good seedling like her cultivate the Tao of great oblivion? What a waste of resources. The little girl in red smiled faintly. Her eyes moved and swept across Ling Xiao's body, revealing a myriad of emotions. It was as if countless auras had gathered on her body, causing Ling Xiao to feel a little lost in that instant. Suddenly, Ling Xiao felt a fatal threat in his heart. Crack! The little girl in red immediately attacked Ling Xiao. Her small, jade-like hand floated lightly towards Ling Xiao's chest. In that instant, Ling Xiao actually felt as if his body had been imprisoned. Even his thoughts had stopped. He could only watch as the palm came towards him. Rumble. The wordless heavenly book and time compass felt that Ling Xiao was in danger and exploded with their strongest power, wanting to break free from the power that imprisoned Ling Xiao. However, before that power could be completely extinguished, the little girl's palm landed on Ling Xiao's chest. Boom! Ling Xiao felt as though he had been struck by an immemorial mountain. He felt an unparalleled divine power surging into his body. It was like an endless wave, multiplying by thousands, tens of thousands of times. In an instant, a huge bloody hole appeared in his chest. Pfft! Ling Xiao spat out a mouthful of blood. His face instantly became extremely pale as he was sent flying. In the face of the little girl's palm, he actually didn't have the slightest ability to resist. He didn't even have time to use the wordless heavenly book and time compass. Moreover, Ling Xiao felt a strange power spread out from his chest. Although his physical body was unparalleled and his life force was abundant, he could be reborn from a single drop of blood. He almost had an immortal body, but it was useless against the little girl's power. Lord of 7 emotions and 6 desires. You want to kill me? It's not that easy. Ling Xiao snorted coldly, his eyes revealing a hint of madness. Roar! A vast dragon's roar resounded from his body, causing the surrounding starry sky to vibrate violently. The stars were dazzling, as if they had established a strange connection with the acupoints all over Ling Xiao's body. The vast power of the stars surged into his body and rapidly healed his injuries. The wordless heavenly book and time compass were instantly activated by Ling Xiao with their strongest power. They floated in the starry river, ready to launch a thunderous attack on the little girl at any time. Ling Xiao could feel the terror of Lord of 7 emotions and 6 desires. Even with an extreme Tao Emperor weapon, he couldn't make up for it. The gap between their realms was just too big. Lord of 7 emotions and 6 desires was already standing at the extreme of the divine path. She was only half a step away from the legendary Imperial Emperor. Ling Xiao was a few realms away from her. Therefore, Ling Xiao was ready to risk his life. Even if he died, he would drag Lord of 7 emotions and 6 desires down with him. Kill you? If I wanted to kill you, you would have died just now. Do you really think that an extreme Tao Emperor weapon can make up for the gap between you and me? Do you think a child with an axe in his hand can beat a strong man with his bare hands? How childish. The little girl in red smiled faintly, with a hint of mockery in her eyes. Her gaze fell on Jin Sei, and she said faintly, Jin Sei, kill him. Ling Xiao's heart trembled, and his gaze instantly fell on Jin Sei. Jin Sei's expression was calm. After hearing the little girl in red's words, she didn't seem to hesitate at all. Instead, she nodded and said, yes, my lord. But my lord, I'm no match for her. I can't kill her. Jin Sei's voice was incomparably cold, filled with an unimaginable calmness. Speaking of which, Jin Sei was still only a sage to be. She had yet to become a sage. Even a sage king couldn't kill Ling Xiao. Naturally, she was no match for Ling Xiao. With Taiyuan's help, I'll help you block his wordless heavenly book and time compass. I'll also lend you the sword of 7 emotions and 6 desires. If you still can't kill him, then you can die. The little girl in red said faintly. Her voice was filled with ruthlessness. Whoosh! An ancient sword that flowed with 7-colored radiance suddenly flew out from the little girl in red's body. It exuded a vast aura of the mortal world, as if it could evoke the deepest desires in one's heart. It was extremely strange. This was the little girl in red's natal treasure, the sword of 7 emotions and 6 desires, which was comparable to a boundary emperor weapon. Although the sword of 7 emotions and 6 desires was not an extreme Tao Emperor weapon, to a certain extent, its lethality wasn't any weaker than an extreme Tao Emperor weapon. Even Ling Xiao could feel the danger of the sword of 7 emotions and 6 desires. Yes, my lord. Jin Sei won't let you down. Chapter 2361. My lord, this is killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Taiyuan thought to himself with a chill in his heart. Lord of 7 emotions and 6 desires knew about the emotional entanglement between Jin Sei and Ling Xiao. If Jin Sei killed Ling Xiao, not only would the path of great oblivion be perfected instantly, but it would also nourish the path of 7 emotions and 6 desires, allowing Jin Sei to become a saint. Only when Jean Sei became a saint could she be considered a good cauldron for Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires. At that time, she might be able to break through to the Supreme Realm in one fell swoop. Moreover, Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires was cautious by nature and did not know what trump cards Ling Xiao had. It was a good opportunity for Jean Sei and Taiyuan to test Ling Xiao. If they could kill Ling Xiao completely, Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires would be able to obtain the wordless heavenly book and eliminate a major threat for the devil race. Taiyuan did not expect Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires to let Jean Sei kill Ling Xiao. However, after he understood Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires' intention, he became even more fearful. Boom! Jean Sei held the sword of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires. Her eyes were filled with cold murderous intent, and the aura around her began to soar. The sword of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires bloomed with dazzling light, and the 7-colored divine light poured into Jean Sei's body. An illusory image of a Taiji diagram appeared above Jean Sei's head, spinning slowly. Jean Sei's cultivation instantly broke through to the Saint Realm, and it continued to break through. The early stage of the Saint Realm, the middle stage of the Saint Realm, the late stage of the Saint Realm, the Supreme Saint Realm. The Sword of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires was Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires' natal treasure. It contained vast power, as if it was a part of Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires' body. It contained part of his cultivation. At this moment, that part of cultivation merged into Jean Sei's body, causing her strength to soar until it reached the peak of the Supreme Saint Realm. Jean Sei, do you really not recognize me? Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with sorrow, especially the determination and murderous intent in Jean Sei's eyes, which made his heart ache even more. Kill. Jean Sei's response was only one word. In an instant, the heavens and earth cracked, and the winds and clouds. A peerless sword qi that could sweep through the 9 heavens and 10 earths swept across the sky. Jean Sei held the 7 Emotions 6 Desires sword in her hand. The sword qi around her was sharp and her red dress fluttered like a burning flame. Her eyes were filled with determination. Wang! The time compass in Ling Xiao's hand soared into the sky, sprinkling down streams of time energy. Like a translucent, ancient world, it distorted space and blocked in front of Ling Xiao. Jean Sei, I don't want to fight you. Why are you forcing me? Ling Xiao's face was filled with pain. Boom! The vast sword qi fell and collided with the multicolored ancient world in front of Ling Xiao. Resplendent divine light erupted, like an endless wave exploding, causing waves to fill the sky. The sword qi and the modeled ancient world were destroyed at the same time. The sword of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires struck the compass of time as well, but it was repelled by the distorted spacetime. Ling Xiao and Jean Sei's figures clashed in the starry sky. Ling Xiao could see the cold killing intent in Jean Sei's eyes. It was as if it was imprinted in her soul and carved into her bones. That was a kind of determination to fight to the death. Whoosh! At this moment, Heavenly Lord 7 Emotions and 6 Desires struck. Her red robes fluttered as she soared into the air. Strands of silk interweaved from her sleeves, containing 7-colored light. They exuded all sorts of mysterious emotions and desires. Vaguely, a vast world appeared. The power of will of billions of living beings interweaved, containing a supreme power. Those threads intertwined to form a huge divine chain of order. In an instant, it traversed the void, pierced through layers of spacetime, and wrapped around the time compass. Rumble. The time compass emitted resplendent light, and the vast power of time rose, trying to break the divine chain of order. However, to Ling Xiao's surprise, the divine chain of order was incomparably sturdy. With the power of will of billions of living beings supporting it, the time compass was unable to break through the seal. Just as she had said, Heavenly Lord 7 Emotions and 6 Desires blocked Ling Xiao's time compass for Jean Sei. You don't know the Supreme Emperor Dao, so naturally, you can't unleash the power of the Supreme Emperor weapon. It's a waste for the Supreme Emperor weapon of the Flowing Time Emperor to fall into your hands. Heavenly Lord 7 Emotions and 6 Desires said coldly. Rumble. At the same time, Taiyuan also attacked. He was a supreme expert in the Saint King realm, and his attacks contained the power of the Great Tao. It was as if an ancient emperor had descended, and a casual attack could shatter a supreme star. Taiyuan's attack posed a great threat to Ling Xiao. Since the time compass was trapped by Heavenly Lord's 7 emotions and 6 desires, Ling Xiao did not dare to use the wordless Heavenly Book. He could only use the wordless Heavenly Book as a source of energy to activate the power of the wordless Heavenly Book. He used the power of the wordless Heavenly Book to fight against the enemy. Rumble. Ling Xiao's fighting spirit soared. The heaven battling secret skill gave Ling Xiao the ultimate fighting instinct. His attacks were as fast as lightning, and he could instantly penetrate the enemy's flaws. At the same time, Ling Xiao activated the primal chaos secret skill and used the Heavenly Emperor Fist. The vast Heavenly Emperor Fist seemed to be able to encompass everything, and every attack contained the supreme power of destruction. With the support of the wordless Heavenly Book, Ling Xiao's strength began to skyrocket. Crack! Ling Xiao's fist collided with the sword of 7 emotions and 6 desires. Dazzling sparks erupted, and endless sword chi exploded. Ling Xiao's fist contained unparalleled physical strength. He had opened his divine treasures and his physical body had reached the saint realm, so his every move contained unfathomable heavenly might. The vast power passed into the sword of 7 emotions and 6 desires, and then it knocked Jin Sei back. Bang! Ling Xiao and Taiyuan collided. Saint aura surged around Taiyuan, and a yin and yang vortex seemed to be contained in his palm. It was like a vast world of yin and yang that wanted to swallow Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao neutralized it with the secret skill of yin and yang, broke through Taiyuan's palm and flew out. Both Taiyuan and Jin Sei's strength was incomparably terrifying. Needless to say, Taiyuan was a supreme expert in the Saint King realm. Although he was only an ordinary Saint King, he had mastered the Great Tao and condensed the Saint King Tao fruit. A casual attack from him forced Ling Xiao to use his full strength. Jin Sei's strength exceeded Ling Xiao's expectations. Originally, Jin Sei's cultivation was only in the half-saint realm. However, after obtaining the sword of 7 emotions and 6 desires and temporarily fusing with the cultivation left behind by Lord of 7 emotions and 6 desires, her strength skyrocketed to the peak of the great saint realm. In addition, the sword of 7 emotions and 6 desires, a quasi-emperor weapon, posed a greater threat to Ling Xiao than Taiyuan. Streaks of sword chi fell as fast as lightning, sealing off the surrounding void, making it impossible for Ling Xiao to dodge. Under the combined attacks of Taiyuan and Jin Sei, Ling Xiao quickly fell into a disadvantage. Chapter 2363. Jin Sei, I'm Ling Xiao. Have you really forgotten me? Do you remember Gemini Mountain, Changsun Sect, and War God's Field? Do you remember that you waited for me for 10,000 years? Ling Xiao yelled at the top of his lungs as he fought, trying to recall Jin Sei's memories. Ling Xiao didn't even notice that his face was covered in tears. Every time Jin Sei attacked, his heart would hurt a little. His battle with Jin Sei was unavoidably affected. Swoosh! A swift and fierce sword light descended, flickering with a 7-colored radiance. Ling Xiao was unable to dodge in time, and a wound over a foot long was left on his chest, almost slicing him into 2 halves. Moreover, the sword chi of the 7 emotions 6 desires sword rose, emitting a light that could destroy heaven and earth. The power of the mortal world tried to enter Ling Xiao's body through the wound and destroy his vitality. Puff! The sharp sword chi injured Ling Xiao's organs. He could not help but tremble violently. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his aura became weak. Taiyuan took the opportunity to hit Ling Xiao's back with his palm. Unparalleled divine power erupted from his palm print. Even though Ling Xiao's body was extremely strong, it could not withstand Taiyuan's palm and collapsed. His flesh and bones seemed to have been turned into meat paste. Ling Xiao was sent flying once again. He was completely at a disadvantage and seemed to be in imminent danger. It was as if he would die at the hands of Jin Sei and Taiyuan at any time. Jin Sei's eyes were still as cold as ice, filled with endless killing intent. She raised the sword of 7 emotions and 6 desires again and displayed a sharp swordsmanship towards Ling Xiao. Buzz! The time compass vibrated in the void as if it wanted to go back to rescue Ling Xiao. However, it was firmly sealed by Lord's 7 emotions 6 desires divine chains of order and could not return to Ling Xiao's side. The Chosen One. With your heavenly path fate, I'm afraid you can let Jin Sei become a saint and even condense that kind of Dao fruit? I'm really looking forward to it. Lord's 7 emotions 6 desires eyes revealed a hint of anticipation as he muttered to himself. Everything was under her control. She could see that Ling Xiao was now an arrow at the end of its flight and would probably die at the hands of Jin Sei and Taiyuan at any time. Boom! Taiyuan's palm slammed into Ling Xiao. Jin Sei's sword qi also tore through the chaos and pierced Ling Xiao's body. In an instant, Ling Xiao's body was covered in dense cracks like a spider web. Ling Xiao spat out a mouthful of blood, which landed on Jin Sei's face and red dress. It made her dress even brighter, as if it was about to burst into flames. Ling Xiao had suffered an unimaginable injury, and his aura had become extremely weak. The Chosen One is nothing more than this. Ling Xiao, prepare to die. Taiyuan's eyes suddenly flashed with killing intent. Holy light rose around him like the vast starry sky. It all gathered in his palm, forming a beam of light that could destroy everything. It shot through the air and blasted toward Ling Xiao. Although Taiyuan knew that Heavenly Venerate's 7 emotions and 6 desires wanted Jin Sei to kill Ling Xiao, he couldn't resist the temptation of Ling Xiao's heavenly Dao providence. As long as he killed Ling Xiao, he would be able to obtain Ling Xiao's heavenly Dao providence. His cultivation that had been stagnant for a long time would surely improve, and he might be able to fight Heavenly Venerate's 7 emotions and 6 desires. This was a temptation that Taiyuan couldn't resist. In Taiyuan's view, Ling Xiao was now an arrow at the end of its flight. There was no way Ling Xiao could block his killing blow. His death was certain. Just as Ling Xiao was about to die at Taiyuan's hands, something unexpected happened. Swoosh! An ancient sword silently pierced Taiyuan's body, and a vast amount of sword qi erupted from it, constantly destroying Taiyuan's vitality. You, how dare you? Taiyuan trembled, his eyes filled with disbelief as he slowly turned his head. Behind him, Jin Sei stabbed Taiyuan's body with the 7 emotions and 6 desires sword. Jin Sei's expression was calm and unruffled. Taiyuan had never imagined that Jin Sei would stab him in the back just as he was about to kill Ling Xiao, dealing him a fatal blow. Rumble. Ling Xiao's aura changed drastically in front of Taiyuan's eyes. He no longer looked weak, and his body brimmed with boundless strength. He punched out, and vast chaos light and lightning exploded. It was as if an ancient celestial emperor had swept through the heavens, unstoppable. Pfft! Blood splattered everywhere as Ling Xiao's fist punched a hole through Taiyuan's chest. Ling Xiao seemed to have anticipated this. The wordless heavenly tome entered Taiyuan's body through his arm and began madly devouring his flesh and life origin. Ah, you all deserve to die. Supreme Lord, save me. Taiyuan roared, his eyes filled with incomparable madness. His vast life origin began to burn as he tried to break free from Ling Xiao and Jin Sei. However, Ling Xiao and Jin Sei seemed to have discussed this beforehand. The sword of 7 emotions and 6 desires unleashed a supreme sword qi that destroyed all of Taiyuan's meridians. In addition to Ling Xiao's punch, Taiyuan's body exploded. Taiyuan's flesh and blood wriggled violently in the void, trying to reform a new body. However, the wordless heavenly tome suppressed him and began to devour Taiyuan's strength. If Taiyuan were a human saint king, he might be able to hold on for a moment or even break free from the wordless heavenly tome's devouring. After all, the book was still damaged. However, Taiyuan had long given up his human bloodline and become a demon. The wordless heavenly tome seemed to be a natural counter to demon experts. After suffering such heavy injuries, Taiyuan had no way of breaking free from the book's restraint. How dare you, Jin Sei? Celestial Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires was also stunned, then enraged. She couldn't understand why Jin Se, who was firmly under her control, would betray her and severely injure her most capable subordinate, Taiyuan. However, she didn't have the time to think. She shot across the sky like a beam of red light at extreme speed. The starry sky trembled at the same time, bursting with unparalleled divine might in an attempt to save Taiyuan. Rumble. At this moment, the chronological compass in the void suddenly shone brightly. The vast power of time flowed, ethereal and mysterious. A vast river of time vaguely appeared and directly shattered the divine chains of order in the void. Chapter 2364. Celestial Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires did not expect that Ling Xiao had completely refined the time compass and was able to awaken the extreme Tao Emperor aura within the time compass to unleash terrifying power. Ling Xiao softly chanted, and his body exuded a vast power of the origin of time. The compass of time floated above the starry sky, exuding an eternal light. Even Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires' expression changed involuntarily. Boom! Celestial Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires' crimson divine light rose around her. She waved her sleeve, and suddenly, it was as if there was a flame burning. It turned into a huge palm print surrounded by 7-colored light and collided with the time compass with a loud bang. Crack! Divine light bloomed in the void, and the starry sky shook. The huge palm print was directly shattered by the time compass. Celestial Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires' strength was extremely terrifying. Although the time compass was an extreme Tao Emperor weapon, it was still sent flying by her. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the textless heavenly book released terrifying power and directly swallowed Tai Yuan's flesh and blood, turning them into nourishment for the textless heavenly book. He was completely annihilated. Part of his life essence and energy merged into Ling Xiao's body, causing his injuries to heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. In an instant, he was restored to his peak state. However, Tai Yuan, an invincible sage king, was extremely aggrieved as he silently died in the textless heavenly book. Jin Se, how dare you betray me? Celestial Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires' eyes were filled with cold killing intent as he stared at Jin Se. Betray? My lord, I have never sought refuge with you. How can I betray you? Jin Se said indifferently. Impossible. You have already accepted my inheritance of the path of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires. Your mind and primordial spirit are all under my control. How can you break free from my control? Even my sword of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires has been cut off by you. What a great technique! Celestial Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires said coldly. She couldn't figure out why this happened. Jin Se was clearly under her control and everything was under her control. Even life and death were in her hands. That was why she allowed Jin Se to kill Ling Xiao. However, she couldn't figure out how Jin Se escaped her control. In particular, the Sword of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires was Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires' life treasure. It was connected to her heart's blood, but the connection had been silently severed by Jin Se, Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires. Your path of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires is indeed extraordinary, but it can't be separated from the category of Yin-Yang secret skills. Jin Se said indifferently. There seemed to be mysterious runes flashing in her eyes, and a mysterious Yin and Yang taijutsu appeared vaguely. This is, the Yin-Yang taijutsu. Damn it! Jin Se, you've really hidden yourself well. I didn't think that the Supreme Tao Palace would even pass on the Yin-Yang taijutsu to you. Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires shuddered. His eyes were filled with cold murderous intent. She finally figured it out. It turned out that Jin Se had the Supreme Tao Emperor weapon of the Supreme Tao Palace, the Yin-Yang taijutsu. That was how she was able to conceal herself and even cut off the connection with her Sword of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires. Rumble. However, before Lord of 7 Emotions and 6 Desires could say anything, Jin Se slammed her palm across the sky. The mighty divine light spread for tens of thousands of miles. A huge yin and yang taijute flew out from her palm. It covered the sky and the sun, suppressing Lord of 7 emotions and 6 desires. Ling Shao also took out the time compass. It was so mighty that it seemed to be able to turn the heavens. The mysterious power of time distorted time and space, forming a time domain that enveloped Lord of 7 emotions and 6 desires. The 2 Supreme Tao Emperor weapons attacked at the same time. They exploded with their strongest power, wanting to kill Lord of 7 emotions and 6 desires on the spot. Jin say, let's end this quickly. We're very close to the devil realm. We can't rule out the possibility that there will be powerful figures from the devil clan coming to help. We can't stay here for long. Ling Shao secretly transmitted his voice to Jin say. However, he was extremely happy in his heart. Everything was just as he had expected. Jin Sei's battle with him was just a pretense. Her purpose was to confuse Lord of 7 emotions and 6 desires so that she could unleash a killing blow and kill Lord of 7 emotions and 6 desires Wing, Taiyuan Sage King. Ling Shao was very pleased and happy. It was as if he and Jin Sei had a telepathic connection. Their cooperation was perfect. Rumble. Rumble. Lord of 7 emotions and 6 desires displayed a peerless combat prowess that shocked both Ling Shao and Jin Sei. Every move of his contained the power to destroy the heavens and the earth. He battled the time compass and the yin-yang tai chi diagram in the sky, erupting with divine light that shot up into the sky. Buzz! At this moment, Jin Sei stood in the air. The aura around her became extremely ethereal. Her entire body seemed to be exuding 2 types of incomparably mysterious Tao. One was ethereal like a celestial demon above the 9 heavens. The other contained all kinds of emotions and desires, tainted with all kinds of worldly aura. Those were the aura fluctuations of the path of great oblivion and the path of 7 emotions and 6 desires. At this moment, a strange balance seemed to have formed on Jin Sei's body. They began to merge slowly. The path of great oblivion. This. How is this possible? Lord of 7 emotions and 6 desires felt the aura on Jin Sei's body. He could not help but tremble. A look of disbelief appeared in his eyes. The path of great oblivion was the foundation of the path of great oblivion. However, if one could turn oblivion into emotion, it meant that one had understood the true meaning of the great path. They had completely merged the 2 great oblivion and climbed to the peak of the divine path. However, Jin Sei was now only in the sage-to-be realm. She was not even a sage. How could she have comprehended the path of great oblivion? This simply subverted Lord of 7 emotions and 6 desires understanding. The path of great oblivion. Jin Sei. Is she going to recover her memory? Ling Shao, on the other hand, was overjoyed. His eyes were filled with excitement. He remembered what the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain had once said. Jin Sei had lost all her memories because she had consumed the path of great oblivion. If she wanted to recover her memories, she had to cultivate the path of great oblivion to the extreme. She had to turn oblivion into emotion. Only then could she be true and pure and recover all her past memories. Ling Shao also quickly understood. The path of 7 emotions and 6 desires of Lord 7 emotions and 6 desires was probably a catalyst that allowed Jin Sei to fuse 2 kinds of path wills and cultivate the path of the great oblivion to its peak in one fell swoop, transforming the path of the great oblivion into the path of emotions. For Jin Sei, this was definitely a supreme fortune. Rumble. At the same time, blazing divine light rose from Jin Sei's body. Thunder rumbled in the vast starry sky. Heaven and earth rumbled. An incomparably terrifying sage aura spread. It was as if heaven's punishment was about to destroy the world. The scene was extremely terrifying. Ling Zhao's body trembled. He immediately understood that Jin Sei was about to cross the sage tribulation. The path of great oblivion. Ha ha ha. What a joke. Do you think it's so easy to take my things? Since you betrayed me, then pay with your life. Chapter 2365. Kacha. Jinsei was already enveloped by the thunderbolts. Streaks of lightning danced like dragons and snakes. All kinds of mysterious scenes appeared between heaven and earth. An ancient yin-yang Tai Chi diagram even appeared above Jinsei's head. That illusory figure was formed purely by the lightning tribulation. It contained boundless killing intent, as if it could destroy everything. Looking at Heavenly Lord's 7 emotions and 6 desires, who was charging towards him, Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a hint of madness. He could not let Lord's 7 emotions and 6 desires interfere with Jinsei's breakthrough. This was related to whether Jinsei could regain her past memories. Ling Xiao would not allow anyone to destroy it. For this, he would pay any price. Kaboom! The pores all over Ling Xiao's body spewed out golden blood-red light as they burst into flames. Almost instantly, Ling Xiao had burned away 1,000,000 years of his lifespan. Even his flesh and Yuan spirit were glowing, pushed to the limit by him. The wordless heavenly book was like a bright sun in Ling Xiao's body. It bloomed with incomparably brilliant light and provided Ling Xiao with an endless supply of energy. Ling Xiao's left hand held the Heavenly Emperor's fist seal and his right hand held the time compass. His fighting spirit soared into the sky. 12 ancient and mysterious worlds appeared behind him as he charged toward Lord's 7 emotions and 6 desires. Ling Xiao began to fight with all his might. Boom! Ling Xiao and Lord's 7 emotions and 6 desires collided. It was like a hurricane sweeping across the sky. In an instant, an extremely terrifying fluctuation of divine light erupted. Ling Xiao was not surprised at all. He was directly blasted away. His arm was cracked and badly mangled. His arm trembled violently. He could not help but cough up large mouthfuls of blood. His aura was weak. However, his eyes became brighter and brighter. His entire body exuded a kind of crazy temperament. Jinsei was right behind him. He would not let Lord's 7 emotions and 6 desires take a step forward. Although he knew that there was a huge gap between him and Lord's 7 emotions and 6 desires, it was like the difference between an ant and a divine dragon. However, Ling Xiao still did not admit defeat. He still erupted with his strongest power to stop Lord's 7 emotions and 6 desires. Ling Xiao, you're courting death. Lord's 7 emotions and 6 desires was also angered by Ling Xiao. In his opinion, while Ling Xiao was the chosen one, he was no different from an ant. If it weren't for the wordless heavenly scripture and time compass on Ling Xiao, he probably would have been able to crush Ling Xiao to death with a wave of his hand. Now, this ant dared to provoke a divine dragon. Boom! Lord of 7 emotions and 6 desires slammed his palm across the sky, breaking through layers of spacetime and colliding with Ling Xiao. Then, it slammed into his chest. Ling Xiao's chest caved in directly. His bones were shattered, and his flesh was badly mangled. He was sent flying again. The 12 ancient worlds on his body were trembling violently, as if they were about to collapse at any moment. If it wasn't for the wordless heavenly book and time compass defense, this palm strike would have directly split Ling Xiao's body into pieces. What was a celestial venerable? The heavenly venerable was the pinnacle of the Saint Tao, the strongest being below the Emperor realm. Although many people knew that the Saint King realm was the pinnacle of the Saint Path, there were also different levels among the Saint Kings. The gap between them was like the gap between heaven and earth. Ordinary Saint Kings, Peak Saint Kings, Supreme Saint Kings, Heavenly Venerables. These were the 4 major levels of the Saint King realm. The gap between each level was huge, not to mention that Ling Xiao was only in the Saint realm. The gap between him and a Heavenly Venerable was too great. Although Taiyuan, Al-Seer, Zizhu, and the other Saint King old ancestors were completely killed in this battle and caused a commotion in the realm of the gods, they were only ordinary Saint Kings. When a Heavenly Venerable was angry, the heavens shook, the world was destroyed, and all living beings were bathed in blood. Rumble. The wordless heavenly book provided Ling Xiao with an endless source of life. His sanctification body gave Ling Xiao an incomparably terrifying recovery ability. The time compass could distort time and space. To a certain extent, it could weaken the attacks of Lord of Seven Emotions and Six Desires and provide a powerful defense. With so many treasures on him, Ling Xiao was barely able to hold on. However, he was already in imminent danger. Puff! Ling Xiao's mouth was constantly spewing blood. His physical body was like a rag as he was blasted away by Lord of Seven Emotions and Six Desires. However, Ling Xiao seemed like he would never die. He kept struggling and blocking in front of Jin Se. The void was filled with a strong smell of blood. This battle was extremely tragic. But what surprised Ling Xiao was that Lord of Seven Emotions and Six Desires had set up a powerful barrier around the area, perhaps because he wanted to keep the wordless heavenly book for himself. As a result, no demon almighties appeared. Otherwise, such an intense battle would have attracted the attention of the demon realm's almighties. As for Jin Se, she sat cross-legged under the starry sky, undergoing the divine tribulation. Her entire body was in an extremely strange state. It was as if she had fallen into a tortoise's suction. Her breathing was stable and pure. Vast amounts of lightning fell from the surroundings, but they were all absorbed by her. In Jin Se's body, it was as if the great Tao of Yin and Yang was slowly rotating, constantly devouring all external forces. Those lightning bolts did not seem to be Jin Se's divine tribulation. Instead, they seemed to be the energy that helped Jin Se break through to the next realm. Gradually, the illusory aura on Jin Se's body began to disappear. Her entire body became more and more real, as if she was a person of flesh and blood. All kinds of emotions and desires, as well as all kinds of emotions of the mortal world, also slowly disappeared. Jin Se's entire body became incomparably pure. She was wrapped in a ball of soft light, and the corners of her mouth held a faint smile. It was as if she was having a beautiful dream. Her smile was light and filled with a beautiful aura. And the divine tribulation was nearing its end. Ling Xiao, if you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Lord of Seven Emotions and Six Desires was completely enraged by Ling Xiao. Her eyes were filled with cold murderous intent. A vast aura of the mortal world emerged from her body. In an instant, it turned into a divine chain of order, traversing the void and binding Ling Xiao's entire body. Then, she slapped her palm toward Ling Xiao's head. Runes flashed in her palm, and a mysterious flame rose, as if it could burn everything. This attack was extremely fierce. It contained the fury of Lord of Seven Emotions and Six Desires. She wanted to completely kill Ling Xiao. Boom! The time compass was directly blasted away by Lord of Seven Emotions and Six Desires. Crack! The 12 ancient worlds behind Ling Xiao shattered with a loud bang. Bang! Ling Xiao's physical body began to crack. Dense cracks appeared like a spiderweb. Moreover, his glabella seemed to have begun to burn. The burning fire of the mortal world appeared on the divine chain of order, enveloping Ling Xiao's entire body. Lord of Seven Emotions and Six Desires, the person who is going to die is not me, but you. Ling Xiao suddenly opened his eyes. His gaze was calm and deep, without the slightest trace of fear. But his voice was like thunder, causing Lord of Seven Emotions and Six Desires to involuntarily tremble.